Hello. Oops. I didn't mean to do that with the camera. Sorry. With the screen. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Club Sesh. I just want to make sure we are streaming everywhere. I'm actually going to even put it on Facebook or Instagram. We're going live, everyone. We're here. I'm back. I'm better. I survived. Okay, so just so you guys know, this, you cannot send a super chat how you normally would send a super chat because YouTube I like to double boop. I'm just having a good time. I need a big dab right now. Deep ass chamber. Ah! You can do it, Vanessa. Finish that dab. Hi, everyone. Yes, today is about vaccines. And yes, I agree with you. I'm going to reply to one of the comments on Instagram. Reggae Squatch says, I just got over COVID. I was feeling crappy Saturday. That was it. Vaccines work. Yeah, I got COVID because I went to like a super spreader event. And it was awful. I think I got COVID. I didn't actually test, but I know a lot of people had COVID at the event, and my sense of taste and smell wasn't great. It was just shitty, but I survived, right? I'm still here. And it probably wouldn't have been as bad if I had been boosted. And I tried to get boosted. I went to Kaiser because I scraped my leg. I like to garden. I'm in the garden. She's in the garden all the time. And I scraped my leg on like a rusty pipe that was like sticking out. And I don't know. I just am a little paranoid because I know what happens if you get tetanus. It's not fun. It's like tetanus, rabies. Have you ever seen rabies? No, thank you. No, thank you. Okay. So I went and got a tetanus shot and I was like, can you give me the flu vaccine and the COVID vaccine while I'm here? Boost me up, baby. I just want you all to know what you're in for tonight. So if you have a problem with what I'm saying, you can either leave now, you can stay. We're going to look into things. You can contribute by all means. Bring your research. And I'm going to boop a lot, which means I'm going to dab. That's just what I call it. I cannot monetize on YouTube. YouTube has decided I'm a bad girl. I've been naughty. I am so naughty. Anyway, but they won't monetize me. So if you would like, actually, let me just let me work in real time with OBS. We love it. Where's my text? Let's add a new one for the Venmo. Okay, you guys? Because yeah, you can't send a standard super chat. Oh, that's going to be big for a second. Did I spell? Oh, no, I didn't spell that right. That's hilarious. The Edibles Club. Duh. You can Venmo me. If you want to send me a super chat, I'll have my Venmo open on my phone. I tried to put it up on, where is that massive in the top? Cool. Cute. I tried to put it up on the screen here so you guys could see your real time, like, contributions, but I'll write it on the chalkboard, obviously. Duh. YouTube, or not YouTube, Instagram. I'm on YouTube. Even though they won't monetize me, they're a great platform. You can also, this is good because now if you're watching on Twitch, I'm also on Twitch, and I'm at the Edibles Club on Twitch. Okay. So Wednesdays are Club Sesh days. If you're new here, this is Club Sesh today. It's been a minute. I might be a little rusty because I got sick. So it's very apropos. I changed the title today because we have had a lot of gun violence, and I did not think that was apropos. I hope you all know that I had titled this way before. I had titled it, I was supposed to do this live last week. So I was sick with a virus, not sure which one. A nasty one. It was not fun. But, you know, I am vaccinated. I got the Johnson & Johnson at first. And I don't know why. Maybe the mRNA scared me or something. But then I boosted with, I don't remember which one. But I'm here. It's kind of like when I made the churro out of made the chillum out of the churro. Anyway, I'm still here, and I really like not getting sick. Obviously, like, avoiding people is the best way, but that's not social and good for my mental health. So I was trying to like socialize and be out there and put myself out there and meet people and just have fun. And I did have a good time, but I did not have a good time getting sick. So we're going to talk about vaccines. I really want to know, like, I know people are afraid about the ingredients in vaccines and they feel like the pharmaceutical industry is making all of this money from them and that they cause autism. And it's just, I've listened to it. I just don't, though it doesn't make sense to me. The logic isn't there for me. It's kind of like the raw milk thing. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, a woman, her baby died because she drank raw milk. Like, that's just not something, like, I'm not like, I've had raw milk. Listen, I was doing the Maha shit. I'm 38, going to be 39 in October. Not sure if you all know. I'm 38 years old, going to be 39. I don't care. I know women aren't supposed to be our age. Saying that makes it that women aren't allowed to age. If you can't ask a woman what her age is, just be polite about it. Don't be like, how old are you? Anyway, I'm going to be 39 in October. And when I was in my 20s, I was at Berkeley. And I was like, raw milk? Totally. I was taking Queen Anne's lace. If you know, you know. I thought I was like some fairy, magical, earth goddess. And I'm not saying I'm not. I'm just saying that I believe in science. And, raw milk doesn't taste good enough to me to risk getting sick from, pathogens that we just don't need to do that. I don't want to do that. But I'm also of the school, like, I don't ever want to feel sick. And that applies to psychedelics too. Like, I'm not looking to throw up. I would like to avoid that. I would like a Tums. Okay. So, sorry, I try not to clear my throat into the mic. And let me read the chat, and I need to look at my Venmo because I haven't been paying attention. I've been oh wait, my friend just asked me, is this real weed? Shop THCA flower. Oh boy, that's a longer conversation. Becca, come hang out. Come hang out on YouTube. Venmo. Has anyone sent a super chat? Because now I'm very curious if this is going to work. Will someone, I want to know if the super chat via Venmo is going to work, because I need to find a way to like celebrate. It sucks. I like it when your names like get streaming on all platforms. Yes. Hi, Vanessa. I went on Twitch trying to see if I can subscribe through Amazon. I couldn't figure it out. Patricia, I'm sorry. Are you okay here? Glad you're feeling better. Me too. There's a lot going on. Listen, if you want to say something really important to me, my Venmo is open, and that is excuse me. That is the only way. Haven't been talking as much lately, obviously. That's the only way for me to, I don't see the money anymore. Patricia, I know, that's what I'm saying right now. So if you, all right, everybody, how can I explain this? Venmo is an app. If I know we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, I'm asking a lot of you, okay? But unfortunately, because I'm into cannabis and I like to dab and I like to cook with cannabis and make the Zaza poppers and, bong appetit. I've been doing this for a minute. All right. And I'm not going to stop. And I don't care that these bros or whoever decided I'm harmful. My content is harmful. Anyway, it's educational and I'm real. So if you want to send a super chat and you want me to see your comments, Venmo me. That's it. That's all I got is Venmo. And it's at the Edibles Club. It's right there. It's at the top of this YouTube screen. If you're on Instagram, it's the Edibles Club. That's my Venmo. Do you see it? Here, I'll point right here. Look at this. Anyway, oh, look at there. I am on Twitch. I can see myself on Twitch. I'm going to poll you guys on YouTube. They didn't take away my polls. Good. Are you vaccinated for COVID? And I got both vaccines in my left arm. Be honest, people. Don't you lie to me. And if there's a valid reason, that's cool. Curious. What's your, you don't have to say it because that would probably be like a HIPAA violation, but you know what I mean? I see your content as helpful. Thank you. That means a lot. Amen. FZ is listening on the road. That's cool. I hope it sounds good. We've really been working on the audio. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about vaccines. I got my tetanus shot. I got my flu shot. So I don't think it could be the flu that I had. I think it was COVID. I'll be honest. I didn't test. I should have tested. I just didn't have one at my house and I was not about to go anywhere. But it was awful. So I would say if you're traveling, I would really wear a mask. I know that sounds extreme to people. I get it. I don't like wearing a mask. It's like you're breathing kind of on yourself, but it's so much better than like I couldn't dab. Which is fine. I ate some edibles. I was like, it's cool, take edibles. But like I don't want to be taking Advil to go to sleep. That's not good for you. You should not be popping Tylenol and Advil like candy, okay? Even though it's candy coated. Isn't that fucked up? We're not allowed, actually we are allowed to do that in California. We can put cannabis into sugar. But do you know Quebec actually, their rules for edibles, it's interesting. I have so many blog posts I have to write. I need to write a blog post on all of the different rigs I have and what I like about each of them, because I do like different things about every rig that I have. And Nyala, thank you from ILGM. Oh my goodness. How can I like heart that? I don't know if I can. I can't. Thank you. It's educational. Sometimes it's confrontational. But you know, I'm curious. I'm a curious stoner, curious about cooking, I'm curious about growing things, I'm curious about our bodies. And Jay, both in my left arm, was afraid to do both arms. I think it's better to just do one arm. You know what I mean? I just did one arm because then I can use this arm more. But I try to use the arm that that I get the shots in because I want it to like work its way through the system. But I also think like with my left arm is closer to my heart. So I'm like, get it pumping. Let's go. It's just a little bit of the virus. This is some old stuff. Like the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is a really old method of vaccinating, right? We're talking Catherine the Great. We're going to dive into all of that, the history of vaccines and how they work in our bodies, what some of the concerns are from people. I do not have children, so I don't know. I've heard the vaccine schedule is very extreme for babies. And I'm like, yeah, probably because we've found a lot of cures for a lot of these diseases that we don't want kids to get. And the autism thing, I'll be real with you. We just know what autism is. That is, I don't even want to entertain it. I think it's really offensive. I don't think people understand how offensive it is to people with autism, because you're saying to them like, hey, I'd rather my kid be dead than be like you. You know, like that's how I see it. And that's how I would interpret it. Anyway, I'm sure I'm going to piss some people off today, and that's okay. I'm allowed to have opinions. You know, let's all just, yeah. McLovin, what's going on? All right, let's see. So Bishop, they gave me the flu shot about a week ago. They didn't offer me the COVID vac. Exactly what happened to me at Kaiser. I tried to get the COVID vaccine and they said it wasn't ready. Oh my gosh, I got my first super chat. I'm so happy. Thank you, JJ. That makes me so happy. Do you have anything you want to say? What does it say? Glad you're feeling better, from JJ. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. Do you want me to say your last name? I can say it if you want me to, but I don't want to give too much info. But let me put you on the board. Okay, I have to say, can I just say this? It's really funny to me. This is hilarious because YouTube is like, we don't want to monetize you anymore. You're harmful. I'm like, okay, I'll just tell my audience like, hey, do you want me to write your name on the board? Do you want me to call you, say whatever it is that you're saying to me? I'll read it out to you, right? Hi, Michelle. Michelle's here. What's up? Hey, Lindsay Gabriel's here. What are you saying? If you're between the ages of 5 and 64, you have to have a qualifying condition in order to receive the vaccine. Oh, is that what's going on? Sorry, I thought I felt like my house moving a little bit. Sometimes you have to do that in California. It might have been the dab, but like, I'll check if there was an earthquake. Anyway, that was weird. Just felt like there was like walking or movement. Let me see. No, it was 2 days ago. There was an earthquake, but it was small. Must have just been the dam. You're the most deserving to be monetized out of anyone on PoofTube. Shout out to Be Real. Yeah. Hey, that's also like Be Real has a whole show. Like, I don't want anyone to not get monetized, but I just think it's totally crazy that they're telling me that I can't be monetized. Let me find my dog really quickly. Okay, you guys, I'm going to pull something up in the watch scene. Oops, that's me. Oops, that's the boop scene. Let me pull up a video really quickly. Where is it? Here. Copy. Paste. And oops, pause. Okay, I want to make sure you guys can hear this. Watch scene. Oh wow, history of before Jenner and after Moderna. This is really long. Well, whatever. You're gonna watch it for a little bit. Can you hear this? Let me see if you can hear it. Okay. Let me know if you can hear that. Let's go here.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Like we said,
Okay,
I'm a
one
doctor
second.
of
I'm gonna
public
go
health. I
look
am
for
not a
Bonbon.
physician, so don't ask questions about, medical.
Oh, never
individual
mind.
medical
She's in her
questions.
bed. But let me
More
go walk
public
around
health
really
guy, more
quickly.
infectious disease outbreak investigations, giving recommendations to policymakers on what to do during things like what we're experiencing right now, the pandemics. But I'm also the editor of the History of Vaccines project from the College of Physicians of Philadelphia, and that is what brought me to this presentation today. Needless to say, all opinions are my own, but the facts are facts when it comes to those things. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here, and I'm going to ask a question that you all can respond to in the comment section. I teach, so I'm pretty used to using Zoom for these kind of situations, but I'm gonna just when you get a chance, go into the comment section, into the chat, and just tell me, what do you think a vaccine is? In your own words, what is a vaccine? And you'll see in the responses from everybody that it's a little bit tricky to get down to what is a vaccine. We know how it works, but the vaccine itself, like, well, what is it? Like, what is it? And I'm gonna talk a bit about the history of vaccination, even before there were vaccines, and how we got to the first vaccine, how we moved through the different phases of vaccination history, and how we got to where we are today.
Cool.
So how do vaccines work? Basically, what they do is when you get a vaccination, whatever is in the vaccine that has been researched and developed and tested and tried will tell your immune system, hey, immune system, this is what a pathogen looks like. A pathogen is a bacteria or virus that causes disease. There's no vaccines for parasites, which are a little bit bigger than viruses and bacteria yet. There's a lot of development in that, but basically it tells the immune system, hey, this is what a virus or a bacteria that causes disease looks like. If you ever encounter it, destroy it immediately, because it's bad news. So that doesn't mean that once you're vaccinated, you don't get infected. And that seems to be one of those things of like, well, I got the vaccine, but how come I'm testing positive, for example, for COVID? It's not a magical force field. And I think the imagery that we use about a shield, a force field, is kind of a little bit wrong, because we still get those pathogens on us. But the immune system reacts so quickly because it knows what it's dealing with. It doesn't have to ramp up. It's already ready to go. And it clears the infection out quickly, sometimes so quickly that you don't even have any kind of signs and symptoms of the disease. And so vaccines, what they actually do, they don't prevent infection, they prevent disease. And in preventing disease, if you don't get sick, then you don't go to the doctor and you don't get tested and you don't get reported as a case of whatever the infection is. And if that doesn't happen, then as you can imagine, we in public health, we cannot count you. And so the counts of illness go down, not because the infections were brought down. They were in a sense, and that you're also less likely to transmit the disease if you're not sneezing and coughing and feeling sick.
Right.
But it's the disease, it's the clinical disease that is being brought down because your immune.
So if you go to an event, say, where a lot of people are not vaccinated, but you're vaccinated, the odds of you getting sick are higher, right? Because there's not as many buffers of people who are vaccinated to protect you. And I feel like herd immunity is something that really, we're going to look at that tonight too. Understanding herd immunity and the importance of it and what those percentages mean, and like what percentage you need for herd immunity, and how that affected the Samoans and how RFK Jr. Affected them, impacted them. He did a whole tour with some anti-vax guy, and I'm gonna try and be good about my language tonight, but I'll let you know I'm like really biting my tongue because I have other words for it. A lot of people have died, a lot of babies and children, and I just feel like if we really care, if I don't know, I'm vaccinated. I bet you RFK is vaccinated. Okay, so anyway, I also don't really care what someone who like picks up roadkill and like whales and cuts them up with a chainsaw and drops bears in Central Park, and I don't really care. So I know this is, I'm using a Dr. Dabber hot knife with a Puffco Peak Pro, but you know what? That's what's charged, baby. That is what's charged. And I really like this chamber on this Puffco. Okay, so let us keep learning. These guys are interesting.
System is being activated and you're clearing.
I'm gonna order some food.
The neat thing about vaccines is that if you do this enough in a population and you do it in enough numbers, depending on how infectious the virus or bacteria is, you can protect the rest of the population that is not vaccinated. So for example, measles. Measles is very, very infectious. One case of measles can infect 18 other people who are not immune, and to the point that they get sick. And for that particular disease, we need to vaccinate well over 90% of the population to protect the other 10%. Who are the other 10%? They're the children that are too young to be vaccinated. They're the people who either are going to chemotherapy or have some sort of...
Holy shit, you guys. Holy shit. 1 second, you guys. I just opened my Venmo. Is that right? Am I doing it right? No. Shit, how do you do it? I forgot to double boop it. Can I still double boop it? Did I forget to double boop it? I'm going to double boop it. You guys, this is so rad. This is so much better. I fucking love it. Thank you, YouTube. You're the best. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you broke up with me. I don't want to be with you either. So don't you think I'm not monetizing again. And just so you know, they're going to suppress me. So please either subscribe, like, hi from the Philippines, Ravar Dinglason. I hope Dinglason. I hope I said that correctly. Raver? What a cool name. Anyway, ASMR time. The Hellblazer. Yes. Boop ASMR. Okay, let me put these super chats on the board. Let me just tell you, we got to go back to the main sesh, you guys. Oops. Okay, so you can't really see on Instagram, but whatever. I'll try not to do that. All right, so we have... JJ already put you up there. And then I have Madam Dram here, Jasmine. on the board. Thank you. And all of it goes to me right now. I don't have, do you know, AdSense makes you wait like 30 days and then they take 30% for what? For what? We're never going back, you guys. We're never going back. We're only going forward. I was like, what am I going to do? Oh no, what am I going to do? And then it's okay. Oh my goodness. I love it. Okay, so wait, new color. Oh, for fuck's sake. I think it's UPS. Yeah, it's UPS. Bonbon. She gets very excited. Anyway, I know there's no bonbon cam, but it's mainly because like she's unpredictable and her knees she still has her luxating patella. If you don't know what a patella, I don't know if it's patella luxation. I always mix it up. It's either luxating patella or patella luxation. And if you look at smaller dogs like Chihuahuas and Pomeranians, I am so sorry to my club members who've heard this like 50 bajillion times, but that's okay because I'm about to be 39 and I'm allowed to tell stories that I've told over and over and over again. Anyway, so if you look at them, you ever see that their knees are kind of like either frozen or they don't move their leg very much? They might have that. And there's different tiers of it, different grades of it. And she was at a 1 and now she's at a 2. And she's doing all the things. I've got red light laser, acupuncture, physical therapy. We do stretches every morning. These like little froggy stretches. You know, she's like sits in her froggy and I put the treat in front of her and she kind of pulls forward. I'm like, shit, I wish I could do that. I need to be doing this. Anyway, let me put these on the board. I got distracted. Harry Hancock. Oh, wait, I need to read this. So Madame Dram says, do you name your plants? Can I be one? Jasmine, which one do you want to be? I'm going to be honest with you. The Purple Kush, I definitely started them too late, right? And I was putting lights on them, but they didn't like it. They were not happy with that. My auntie called me today and she was like, your plants don't look good, is what she said to me. Okay. She's like, they don't look good. I was like, I know, auntie. I was like, I'm well aware. Don't you worry. You're not the first person to message me that. And I get it. I did all the things wrong. And that's kind of what I want. It's okay. It's okay. All right. Learn from my mistakes. That's the best way. Don't do what I'm doing. Label things. Be tidy. Have like the proper materials before you start. Make sure it's the right season. If it's not the right season, like have the lights and like know what to do with them. How much light? What distance? Anyway, I'm just getting started. So if that excites you, follow along. We're still going to do stuff with these plants. I don't give a shit if I have to harvest them without any flowers and just like, turn them into kimchi. That's cool. I've been dying to use my friend Sarah's fermentation jar. It is so beautiful. And I really have been wanting to make cannabis kimchi. And you want to use those plants when they're young and tender. So maybe that's what we'll do. We can always vote on that with the Edibles Club. I could take some of the plants. I also got more seeds from them from ILGM, if you're wondering who they are. Anyway, they sent me a big bag of seeds and I'm going to do a really fun project. I think all of my little foodies are going to, oh wait, my chat is a little weird. 1 second. Where's the rest of it? Okay, 1 second. Let me put this down. There we go. Cool. Do we want the poll? Yeah, we do. So it's at 62% of us. That's not enough people vaccinated, my friends. That is not enough. Sorry. What's going on? Are you scared of needles? I get it. I get that. I think I really get it. No, don't you be twirling. Anyway, Bonbon's vaxxed. And I wish she had her parvo. She nearly died. Okay? I want you to look at someone. Wait. She doesn't want to be picked up right now. She wants to play. It's not dinner time. I know you're hungry. You're always hungry. She's on a diet. I'm allowed to say that. Stop it. Because you don't want your dog. They have to be for their joints. You know, I get it. But she's got plenty of things to chew on. And she just wants to play because she's been on bed rest. Take her out a little bit, but her knee pops out if she walks too much. Anyway, Jasmine, Madam Dram, and Patricia, we're putting you on the board. Let's put you in blue. You're on the board. And let me see. Super chat. She says super chat. And I say thank you. That's awesome. I love it. We figured it out. Thanks. I just want to say thank you again, YouTube, because I don't even have to wait and see like how I did and how much you're going to take out and any of it anymore. And like, okay, I don't get the advertisements. You're never going to get an ad in my content on YouTube, just so you know. Like you don't have to pay for their premium. We've got all these wonderful people who want me to read their comments, and I'll read it and I'll write your name in cursive on the board because I'm 39 in October and I know how to write in cursive. I'm going to boop. Wait, no, let's keep learning. Okay, we have some more to learn. Let's learn.
Immune deficiency because of medication or some other disease. They are the people who cannot otherwise get vaccinated. And so that's why we need a very high level of measles vaccination to prevent outbreaks. That is called herd immunity, or the more common term now is community immunity.
Community
that doesn't
immunity.
mean that we prevent all the cases, but we prevent the outbreaks. Again, not a magic force field, but it stops the disease in its tracks and slows it down, makes it less infectious by preventing the symptoms that make the disease more transmittable. And so once you reach a certain level of community immunity, then outbreaks die down, the number of cases die down, the number of people with disease die down. And so it ends epidemics. So with that in mind, when we say that it ends epidemics, let's ask a question. Did vaccines save us? So this is the number of cases of measles in thousands since 1954 on forward. And so you see here that we have this, I'm sorry, this is not measles, this is polio. Polio since 1954 when the polio vaccine was licensed.
Yep.
You see that it took a while for the number of cases that were counted. Again, you know, if you're not sick enough, you're not going to get counted because you're not going to get tested. So it took a while for these numbers to go down, and then they fell flat completely because by the 1990s,
Patty
so many
did
of us
it.
were vaccinated against polio in the United States that, number one, you know, if we got exposed, we were not getting the full-on disease, and because we're not getting the full-on disease, we're not passing it on to other people.
Right.
And number two, because we're not passing it on to other people, the virus is becoming less and less.
Like if I wasn't like, you know, like if all of those things, if we just take more precaution, what did we do last time, everybody? We all forgot. It's just like the election again. Okay. We keep forgetting. It's because I think we all just have ADHD. I didn't forget. I did a little bit because I didn't mask up and I didn't, you know, like there was no hand washing. There was no precautions taken. Okay. So let's all do that. Let's not kill our seniors and our immunocompromised people, that's why it's called community immunity. They stopped calling it herd immunity because they're like, okay, let's not like relate it to chattel or animals. And let's, cows, or cattle. Sorry, that was the wrong word. Let's not relate it to cattle. And right, because herd, you think of cows. That's what you think of. And at least that's what I think of. Anyway, but let's say community. So we think about community instead of cows, right? We think about humans. We think about, hey, I don't want to get my grandma sick. I don't want to get this nice, I'm walking somewhere and maybe someone has their baby. I don't know. You just don't want to you just want to be careful. And yeah, and not forget that a lot of people died from COVID. It was scary. It was really scary. People were wiping down their groceries and their counters, and that was not that long ago. That was 5 years ago. I think we forget.
Prevalent and just being eliminated, not eradicated. Eradicated means when it completely is gone from the human population. Eliminated is when it gets eliminated from a certain region, a geographic region. So right now, there's only cases of polio in Afghanistan and in the mountains of Afghanistan.
It's all a learning process, totally.
That's it. Once those are gone, it'll be eradicated. It'll be the second viral disease to get eradicated. So did they say that the vaccines do this? Well, yeah, in a sense they did, because before this, there were outbreaks of polio that would happen every summer. Kids would go to the pool or to swim in some place. Sewer would get mixed in with water whenever the rainy season would come around with water, well water.
I'm so sorry. And that's why I get really upset when I read people saying it was a hoax and it was this, it was that. I'm like, no, people died. Okay. We're not allowed to say that what happened in, was it Pennsylvania, Butler? We're not allowed to say that was a hoax, right? Because people died, people lost their lives. And same thing with COVID. I'm so tired of the hypocrisy and the double standards and all of it. Okay? I'm really tired of it. It's frustrating. It's exhausting. I'm not sleeping. I'm not sleeping. The Hellblazer. That's nice for you. Anyway, I'm so sorry for you, Harry. I'm really sorry. That is just like because of virus. I got the vaccine as soon as I could.
Water, and you'd have cases of the disease. It took the polio vaccine to really bring down the numbers. Although vaccine by itself was certainly, it needed the help of sanitation. It needed the help of people learning about what polio was and keeping kids away from sources of polio. But the vaccines really, really did help. So did they save us? That's a question. It's a rhetorical question. It may seem like a rhetorical question, but it's a question for you all to ponder. When it comes to measles, again,
I don't know if I ever got COVID. I mean, I definitely think I had it this past week or when I was sick. But I got sick like when did it really come out? Like January of 20. Oh, she's in her bed. 2019. Oh no, 2020, like January 2020. I remember being really, 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 really sick. And add Vanessa to the list of super people. No, I think I've definitely had COVID. I have, I survived and I've definitely vaccinated for it and I'm boosted for it. And I'm planning as soon as I can get the next booster, I'm gonna get it. So that's just how I feel about it. I think I need to get some food. And I want to get that package. So let me
did the vaccine save us? The vaccine for measles was licensed in the 1960s, and the number of cases of measles drops as the years go by. There's a little bit of an increase in the 1980s. So a second measles dose gets licensed and it dies down. And then we have recently the epidemics of measles associated with people refusing to get the measles vaccines for their children. So that they save us. Well, a lot of people think that measles, the disease, is not deadly, but it is. On average, 1 in 1,000 kids who gets measles will die from one of the many complications of measles. So if you see here on the number of cases back in 1968, well over 140,000. So that means that on average, 140 children died. The numbers are actually are a little bit higher than that, because back in those days, the medical technology wasn't as advanced as it is now. But you get the gist, that the vaccines save us. But then we have a vaccine like influenza.
Yeah.
So here is the number of...
All the viruses aren't the same. They're just not all the same. The viruses are different. So sometimes the vaccines are like, I locked the door. No, Bonbon. Sometimes the vaccines are, I should get her a little something. Also, never had COVID, Knoxwood. Let's do a quick unboxing, though. So my friend works for, this is the box. I'm just making sure there's no info on here. Oh, these are really small. My friend works for Net-a-Porter, but these look teeny. They look cute. Salomon. I like the box. It's cute. My friend Chloe in the book, if you know who I'm talking about from my cookbook. If you haven't got my cookbook yet, I don't know what you're doing. You're missing out. Read the reviews. Even the mean ones. They're funny. There's only one. The other people who give me bad stars, they don't ever write anything because they don't have anything to say. They don't have anything to say. Except for one person who was like, "You're promoting obesity," or what was it? Diabetes. What's up, Bonbon? No. Tore up from the floor up. Oh no. These feel like geriatric shoes to me. Oh no. Okay. Well. Okay. What's up, Bonbon? Maybe I should just feed her. Okay, let's keep learning, people.
Cases of influenza by season, and these are estimates. Last year, 2020 to 2021, last winter, we didn't have a surge in flu cases because of masking and social distancing that we've been doing because of the pandemic, which tells you that masking and social distancing kind of work, right, for the flu as well. So even though we have a relatively effective, 50%, 60% at best vaccine that is safe, we still get these yearly epidemics of influenza. So, the question here with regards to influenza is, did the vaccine save us? The answer in this case, in my opinion, is no. We still get these surges of influenza year after year in the wintertime because the vaccine is not very good as far as effectiveness and because of our own habits, right? We still do the things that transmit influenza. And as we've learned from the pandemic, we still do those things. And so this is just a quick explanation of what are vaccines, what do they do, how do they behave at a population level. So let's get into the history. Before vaccines, and this is in China in probably the 10th century or so, there was no knowledge of what a virus or a bacteria was. There were no microscopes. People just kind of observed. And in those observations, the folks in China observed that people who were exposed to other people with smallpox, they would become immune. Even if they got the disease, after getting the disease, they would be immune. But if they got exposed to somebody at an advanced stage of the disease, they would get only a mild form of the disease. They wouldn't get as much, and they would be immune. So they started doing some experimentation, and what they did is that they would let somebody with full-on smallpox, and smallpox causes all these poxes, all over your skin, your face, and you have these pustules filled with pus. And they would let the person get really late into the disease, and they would take that pus and they would let it dry out in the sun. And after it dried out in the sun, they either would blow it up somebody's nose, as this image is showing, or they would take some of it and inoculate the person on the skin and give them smallpox that way. the person would not get as sick as somebody who caught smallpox the natural way, but they would get a little bit of the disease. After all, they are being given smallpox.
What did I
This
miss?
knowledge from China.
What did I miss? Oh, shit. Wow, of course. Wait, 1 second, you guys. I got to go back because this is interesting. Before vaccines.
Into the history. Before vaccines, and this is in China, in probably the 10th century or so. There was no knowledge of what a virus or a bacteria was. There were no microscopes. People just kind of observed. And in those observations, the folks in China observed that people who were exposed to other people with smallpox, they would become immune even if they got the disease. After getting the disease, they would be immune. But if they got exposed to somebody at an advanced stage of the disease, they would get only a mild form of the disease. They wouldn't get as much, and they would be immune. So they started doing some experimentation, and what they did is that they would let somebody with full-on smallpox, and smallpox causes all these poxes, all over your skin, your face, and you have these pustules filled with pus. And they would let the person get really late into the disease, and they would take that pus and they would let it dry out in the sun. And after it dried out in the sun, they either would blow it up somebody's nose, as this image is showing, or they would take some of it and inoculate the person on the skin,
Right.
and give them smallpox that way.
Right.
The person would not get as sick as somebody who caught smallpox the natural way, but they would get a little bit of the disease. After all, they are being given smallpox. This knowledge from China then jumps on what is known as the Silk
This
Road,
is so
a trading
interesting.
route,
Of course, to
west.
Catherine the Great,
And
right?
it gets to the Middle East and Northern Africa.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And when it gets to Northern Africa,
That's so cool.
The people who worked in the slave
I really
trade
miss
there
that a lot.
would take their enslaved people, and they would give them an inoculation of smallpox in the arm usually, and the enslaved people would develop a slighter version of the smallpox. And after they got through it, they were immune, and they were sold at a higher price, because smallpox at the time was going around the world over and over again. And each time it went through a community, 30 to 50% of the people who caught it would die. And so you can imagine it was a scourge. And if you are offering somebody up for slavery who is immune to it, they might be worth more because they're going to survive those epidemics. One such man who was enslaved was a man by the name of Onesimus. Onesimus was born somewhere in what is now modern day Libya, Northern Africa. He was taken as a slave and given the inoculation in the arm, and then sold to a church in what is now Boston.
I will say, if there are reasons like generational, I am telling you what I do with my body and how I operate and how my brain thinks. And how why I make the choices that I make. Okay. And for your body, everyone, it's hard. Life is not easy. Life is not black and white. There's gray. People have immunity problems. There's a history of, being experimented on, and which is abusive, and it's obviously racist. So I get it. This is not an easy conversation to have. For me, I like, this is interesting, the history of vaccines and just how old they are and what they've done for humanity and us as communities over generations.
The church then gifted, if you can gift a human being to another person, Onesimus to Cotton Mather, who was a reverend in the Massachusetts colony. Cotton Mather had a lot of conversations with Onesimus because Onesimus was very bright and he had a lot of knowledge. And one of those pieces of knowledge that Onesimus passed on to Cotton Mather was about inoculation. Cotton Mather said, "What is that in your arm?" Onesimus, I'm sorry, there's an alarm going off in the back. It'll be off in a little bit. Onesimus said, "It's the inoculation against smallpox." And Cotton Mather said, "Tell me more." Onesimus explained that they got the inoculation in the arm and they would become immune, and they were sold at a higher price. Onesimus, he explained it as best as he could. Again, this is before we knew what germs were. This is before viruses and bacteria, and I apologize for the alarm in the background. This is what
maybe
happens
just wait. There we go.
1:20 p.m. every day. Cotton Mather consults with Dr. Boylston, a physician there in Boston, and Boylston consults with his colleagues, and he says, there's something to it. People in the Middle East are doing this, and they're preventing epidemics of smallpox by being inoculated. And so Cotton Mather and Dr. Boylston decide to inoculate the people in their inner circle, their family, the people under their service, some of Dr. Boylston's patients. They all get inoculated, and in 1720, in the 1720s, a boat arrives with a lot of people who have smallpox, and Boston it gets decimated. A large number of people in Boston die, but not the people who got inoculated. Even though they had a milder form of smallpox through the inoculation, once they got through the inoculation, they were immune, and when the disease came around, they survived it. And so,
you see the atomic oatmeal, the Army, Brandon, and sprayed there. Yeah, there have been really horrible experiments. Vaccines, here's the thing. Like, they save lives. That's all I can say. That's all I can see from the statistics. From Bonbon, Pasta. No. She's just feeling wild. She's feeling wild. Hey, Petra. Boston. What's going on in Boston? Just learning about immunization. Yes. It's interesting, right? This guy's really interesting. At least the history of it is.
This knowledge about inoculation started to make its way around the world, not just from Onesimus, but from other people.
Eddie, it's all through Venmo now. We're going direct super chat right here, right now. I've got my Venmo open, name on the board in cursive. If you want, send me a Venmo and I'll read it out. You can say whatever you want and I'll read it out. You can put music notes and I'll sing it out. I'll turn it into a song. Okay? So send me those super chats. We're going around YouTube. We're going around AdSense. We're going direct. Venmo at The Edibles Club. At The Edibles Club. Very easy. It's at The Edibles Club. I would love to put some more names on the board. Please. Because I've just been booping. This conversation is really interesting. Do I need to download Venmo? Yeah. I'm sorry if you don't have Venmo. I don't know what else you can do. I don't know what else you can do. You got to have Venmo. So I guess it's a little bit of an ad for Venmo, but that's the only way I can think of it. I guess I could create a Zelle for it too. But I don't know. I think Venmo is the easiest way to safely send me super chats without having to cut in AdSense and all of that. So yeah, direct to me. If you want your name on the board, I'll put your name on the board. And I'll read whatever it is that you sent.
Lady Mary Montagu, a British socialite who traveled to what is now Turkey, and she would send letters back to England talking about this procedure. The Queen of Russia, the Empress of Russia, Catherine the Great, she had herself inoculated and some of her subjects to prevent a smallpox epidemic. Benjamin Franklin wrote an introduction to a pamphlet, and in it he put the numbers of people who died from smallpox in what he called the common way.
Super chat from Okella. Okella Wood, thank you so much. I'm going to put you on the board. I knew everyone would still want to have their name Oh my goodness. And Harry Hancock. Oh my gosh. Another one. Let's give you a heart. Oh wait, let me show you your heart. Here you go. It's kind of covered by the Venmo link, but there we go. That's cute. Club Sesh. Let me move this. The Venmo. I don't think anyone really noticed that anyway. Maybe I should put it up here in I wonder if I can do it in a different color. Sorry. I'll do it in select color. Let's do it in like this. Can you guys see that? Yeah. Okay. That's fine. That's a Venmo up there at the Edibles Club. Okay. Venmo. Anyway, so we got Harry. Thank you so much. And let me put Ocala on the board. And I'm going to read them. Don't worry. I think I need a new mic. Or to like... Because I need to use the chalkboard. That felt like limbo. Okay. Oh wow, Eddie Moretti. It's working, people. It's working. I love it. Awesome. Okay, let me read these really quickly. Ocala wants to say, "You are a wonderful host. I'm full of pasta. What kind of pasta? What kind of pasta? I'm gonna like it. That is so funny. That is so funny. I can like go into this is more fun. It's like more interactive anyway because I can like social activity be the first person to like it. This is so cool." Harry says, "Just call me Harry Lee." Oh, I'm sorry. Oop. It's a little messy, sorry. There you go. And Eddie Moretti, Vanessa is the best. Thank you. This is so cool. Ah, yay. We figured it out. And I can see like how we're doing. And this is great. I'm so much happier this way. Anyway, thank you, YouTube, watching. Let's keep learning. This is cool. I'm going to order some food.
The common way and from smallpox by inoculation. And if you do the math on these numbers, it turns out that there is a significant reduction in the death from smallpox if you are inoculated. You're less likely to die from the inoculation than you are to die from actually catching smallpox. And so he had one of his children die from smallpox, and he wanted to prevent other people from dying. And so he communicated this in this pamphlet. He would advocate for it as one of the influential people in the early American colonies. Now, if you want to talk about influential, you have General George Washington, right, who became the first president later on. During the Revolutionary War, he noticed that the British were bringing in boats of people to fight the Revolutionary War, and many times they would bring in smallpox. In the Battle of Quebec, the American army got beaten badly by the British because the Americans caught smallpox. And so George Washington didn't want that to happen anymore. And what he did is that he ordered his troops to be forcibly inoculated. Again, this is not vaccinated. This is the first step towards discovering vaccination. He had them forcibly inoculated. If you were joining the military, the Continental Army, as part of your
Wow.
training, you were getting the inoculation. You were going to be laid out with a milder form of smallpox for a few days, and then you were immune after that. In doing so, he stopped epidemics from going through the ranks of the army, and there's good evidence that it contributed to the successes afterward, because the British were kind of depending on epidemic after epidemic of smallpox going through and decimating the Continental Army. George Washington ordered it to order the inoculation to not do that, and so he really helped with that. Hearing of this inoculation and kind of walking around in England one day, Dr. Edward Jenner kind of put together some information on inoculation and some information on what was happening to women who were milkmaids, women who milked cows.
Oh.
When you get smallpox and it goes through your body and it gives you the pock marks on your face, many times people would be disfigured. They would get really bad scarring of the face. Almost everybody who had survived a smallpox epidemic would have this scarring, sometimes so bad that
I just want like all the maha, all those cute, like Botoxed, lip injected maha girly girls to think about that. You know? Think about that.
There were reports of people committing suicide because they couldn't stand the way that they were disfigured. Dr. Jenner, he was very
You ready to get disfigured? That's you ready to get disfigured because some lady with a bun, that like the bun on her head like this. You know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say her name, but you know who I'm talking about. Talks to you about vaccines are bad and drink raw milk and chemtrails and anyway.
Observant, he would walk around and look at the environment. He would make observations about people, about the nature, about birds and trees and everything. He had almost a photographic memory. He could draw really well. He could communicate very well. He could explain difficult things very easily. And he noticed that these milkmaids did not have the scarring on their face. And so, for example, this is what smallpox does to your face.
Oh my God.
This is a little girl who caught smallpox.
Oh my God.
You can imagine once those pox heal, the skin is going to be very, very affected, right? But then he walks around and sees a milkmaid who looks probably like this, and she doesn't have any scars. And so he asked the milkmaid, like, did you ever get smallpox? And the milkmaid said, or not just one, but many of them said, no, we didn't get smallpox. We've never gotten it. It goes, we know it goes through England, but it never affects us. However, we have gotten cowpox. Oh. Cowpox is a disease very similar to smallpox, but it happens in bovines and horses.
Right.
And it's caused by a different virus, the cowpox virus. It's a virus that is somewhat related to the smallpox virus.
Right.
And so what he does is
and if you're like, wait, but they're all different. All the viruses are different. And then you know what's even more complicated? HIV. And they've made so much progress with that. So don't be paranoid and freaked out, and it's not a death sentence. It is totally treatable. There are viruses that aren't treatable. Hantavirus is one of those. You can get it from rat poo.
Devises a plan. He is going to take some of the cowpox material, pus from the cow, and he is going to give it to somebody and see if that inoculates that person against not only cowpox but also smallpox, because they look so much the same. Then in his mind, they're probably being caused by something very similar, although he doesn't know what it is yet. Again, no microscopes, no way of knowing that it's a virus. So Dr. Jenner reaches out to a man working as his gardener and asks him if he can use James Phipps, this little boy, as an experiment subject. And at the time, children were seen as property, and the father said, "Sure, just pay me some money in case you kill him." he wanted somebody. Dr. Jenner wanted somebody who was young enough that they had been born since the last epidemic, so they hadn't been exposed to smallpox, and who was healthy enough to survive should he actually catch the actual smallpox. And so the experiment went a little bit like this. He took cowpox material from Sarah Nelms and gave it to James Phipps. James had a mild case of cowpox, very mild, not a lot of poxes through his body, maybe a few in his arm, a couple in his face, that's it. But he got better. And then after James got better, he waited a couple of weeks, and then he took scabs from a smallpox patient and attempted to infect James. James was unaffected. He didn't even get a scar from that first inoculation with smallpox because he was immune through the cowpox. Edward Jenner tried this again with James, and again, it didn't take. Not only that, but nobody in James's household got the smallpox or the cowpox. And so the experiment was a success. Again, Edward Jenner, very good at writing, very good at explaining things. This kind of observation had been made before, but nobody put it down on paper like Edward Jenner did. He put it down on paper and he said, look, case after case of people that I have talked to who had cowpox do not seem to develop smallpox, even when challenged directly with smallpox. Something is going on here. And so he wrote this up and sent it to all his colleagues in Britain. The history of this experiment makes its way to Spain. Excuse me. And in 1803, the King of Spain, Charles IV, who had lost family members to smallpox, decided to take cowpox and take it to the Americas, to the Spanish, what was then the Spanish territories. He asked his royal surgeon, Balmes, Javier Balmes, to take children from La Coruña, children who were orphaned, to all parts of the Americas. The children were used as incubators for the cowpox because back then they didn't have refrigerators, they didn't have a way to transport the virus. And they took these children and one after the other gave them the cowpox in the arm.
Wow.
And then the child would develop the cowpox, and then they would take some of that and give it to the next child, and so on and so forth. So
Sorry, you guys. I was like looking at food and like kind of listening to this, and then obviously I'm distracted. I don't know what's going on. The trial and error of old school science is crazy energy. This is really interesting, right? I feel like we're all in class right now. I'm ordering us a little snack. I wish you all could eat this with me, what I'm about to eat. But anyway, we'll keep watching. Let's keep learning. This is wild.
The virus would survive all the way to the Americas. They split up in what is now Venezuela, half of the group going down to South America, half of the group going into Mexico, and even as far away as San Francisco, and then over to the Philippines. If you go to the Philippines today, there is a large statue to King Charles IV, thanking him for bringing the smallpox vaccine, the cowpox, to the Philippines and preventing smallpox after that. It was very well controlled. Other countries jumped in. England had the same idea for its overseas colonies. France, the Dutch, etc. After they saw this success, they all decided to do the same thing. To this day, we remember James Phipps. He lived on Edward Jenner's land for a long time until his death. He was given a cottage. He lived there. Excuse me. This was the first vaccination. So we moved from inoculation, where you get the actual virus that is giving the disease, and give just a little bit of it.
Let me go back.
To this day, we remember James Phipps. He lived on Edward Jenner's land for a long time until his death. He was given a cottage. He lived there. Excuse me. This was the first vaccination. So we moved from inoculation, where you get the actual virus that is giving the disease, and give just a little bit of it to trigger that immune response, to vaccination, where you give something that doesn't cause disease, that is analogous or is related to what you're trying to stop, and you give that instead. The next level of discovery came with Louis Pasteur in 1885. He studied what Jenner had done, as many scientists did, but Louis Pasteur really wanted to develop more and more vaccines. He tried vaccines for everything, for cholera, for meningitis, for a lot of things. But again, he was hampered because the science wasn't as advanced. The technology just wasn't there. So he developed a lot of his own technology. Louis Pasteur is also credited with with finding with discovering, or not discovering, but developing germ theory. He found out that what causes diseases are actually germs, and it's not just a bad air, it's not just a bad spirit or something like that. He said, no, it's actually germs. We have seen them. We have these microscopes now. We've seen them. He didn't quite know what the viruses were. He knew that something very, very small, so small that could not be seen by microscope, was causing some of the same damage that could be caused by bacteria. And so one of the diseases that he focused on was rabies. In the 1800s, rabies was very common in Europe. They called it hydrophobia because people who would get sick with rabies.
This is what I'm talking about. You can't drink.
Salivary glands.
Okay, so I'm back in it. Sorry, you guys. I need a dab. Rabies. If you have like you see a bat in your house, because they have really small bites, right? So if you get rabies, it like you can't drink water. It makes you hydrophobic. It's terrible. It's really terrible. It's why they don't, if you ever go to an island, they don't, like Hawaii or the UK, you can't, it's really difficult to bring a dog because they don't have rabies, right? So they don't want to bring it there. It is not good. It is not good. So we just have these like safety things. There's reasons for things. And I feel like we need to like keep on, we forget. We're not good at, we got to pay attention. We all got to take more time and pay attention. Yo, Vanessa, what is your default preferred browser? By the time you cannot drink water with rabies, it's already too late. I know.
Would get hyperactive.
It's too late. It's scary.
Would produce a lot of saliva.
I ordered food, you guys, because we got it's such a success.
So they call it hydrophobia. A lot of animals had this. This is the time when Europe is really exploding. The industrial age is coming along. People are moving into cities, and with them, they're bringing pets, and those pets are getting out into the country and getting exposed to bats.
Hey, you guys, another super chat. Yay! Super chat from D Sims. Let me put you on the board. You said, this is from Instagram. Let's talk about division and unification in the U.S. from both sides. Why do you want to play devil's advocate? What makes either side valid? For what discussion? For vaccination, like anti-vax, being anti-vax versus being for vaccination? I don't really understand the other side. I'm going to be totally honest with you, and I'm not going to argue for it because I don't understand it, and I wouldn't even know how to begin because I don't know where it starts, and I don't, like, I look at the sources. That's how I was taught to read things, right? That's what you're looking for, is you're looking like, okay, why are we saying this? Why are we saying that vaccinations are bad? You know, why? We're learning about it right now. Seems like they're pretty good. You know, my dog's vaccinated. That's another thing I saw on the internet, and I went hard. I've seen 2 videos already of people being like, my dog died of a vaccine. It's like, okay, but don't freak out other people about vaccines. You might not know. Do you know for sure it did? If you don't know, then don't put that online. Don't spread that right now. I've seen what happens when a dog has the virus. Bonbon had parvo when she was a baby. I didn't take her outside. She had it when I got her. She came home with me that night. She was zipping around, and then all of a sudden she started pooping and throwing up and didn't stop. And I brought her back to the rescue because she's a rescue baby. And the lady was like, bring her poop, right? So I brought the poop, and she's like, yeah, it's parvo. But she tested her, and it was parvo. And they have to like go on fluids, and because it was a rescue, she sees it all the time because when like there's just so many dogs there, and parvo is spread on surfaces. So if you're walking, like if you have a really young puppy, do not take it outside until it is fully vaccinated, because it is everywhere. You know, there's coyotes around me. There's other dogs. Every time they poo, it's in their poo. So if the dog is not vaccinated for it, I had a friend whose dog died from a virus. Like, it's just not, it's horrible. No one wants to. I think about it all the time. It makes me cry all the time. I try not to think about when that time will come for Bon Bon. You know, like, anyway, it makes me too sad. So I just think, like, I know there is vaccine injury and that does happen. Nothing is 100% safe. You know, flying is 100% safe. The whatever, you know, but disease, like, you have to. Anyway, I'm just telling you how I feel. But let me put you on the board. It's D Sims from Instagram. All right. And then another super chat from Michaela. Let me put a heart. And then we're going to go back to this watch scene. Vanessa, what is your preferred default browser? Chrome. I think it depends on the device that I'm on. Like on my computer, it's Chrome. And then I think on my phone, it's Safari. What's yours? Firefox. What's yours? Tell me. I'd love to know. Okay, cool. So let's keep learning. Oh,
bats and raccoons and foxes, etc., and getting rabies and then coming back into town and biting people. And a lot of people were dying from rabies. And so one of those people that got bitten by a rabid dog was this little boy, Joseph Meister. At the age of 9, he was bitten by a rabid dog, and his mother took him to a hospital where the physician confirmed that, you know, he's gonna develop rabies in a few weeks. There's nothing we can do. People get this all the time. And the mom said, well, there's got to be something you can do. And the physician said, well, you know, there's this guy by the name of Louis Pasteur at the Pasteur Institute downtown who's been doing some work on rabies, but I don't know what he has. And so the mother went to Louis Pasteur and said, there's something you have to do.
Pasteur.
Pasteur consulted with his colleagues and said, look, we've been working on a vaccine to cure rabies, but what if it actually prevents it? Can we try it on this kid? And everybody kind of agreed that, yes, you should try it because there's nothing else you can do. He's bound to die. The animal was caught and was confirmed to be rabid, and so he's going to get it. So let's try something. So what he ended up doing is that he took the vaccine that he had developed and gave it to Joseph in the abdomen. After a few weeks, Joseph was free of rabies. Unlike other people who had been bitten by rabid dogs,
wow.
Joseph just didn't develop the disease. And so how did he do this? So he used rabbits, and it goes a little bit something like this. So he takes a rabid dog, and he takes the brain from the dog that under the microscope they've seen that the brain is the one that is the most affected by a virus. They dry it out and they give it to a rabbit. The rabbit develops rabies, and they take the brain of that rabbit, they dry it out as well, and then they give that to another rabbit, and so on and so forth. After about 30 times of doing this
is wild.
The virus is weakened. It's what we call attenuated. And
attenuated.
So at the last concentration, it doesn't cause disease. No. But Pasteur noticed that it caused immunity.
Wow.
That rabbits who received that last bit of brain did not develop rabies when challenged with rabies anymore. So he presented this, and this is a dispatch to the Herald and the New York Times at the time. A cure for hydrophobia. Dr. Louis Pasteur's experiments have resulted in a most brilliant success. At perhaps the most important sitting held by the Academy of Sciences, Dr. Pasteur thus described the procedure of cure by means of a rabbit inoculated with the fragment of a tissue taken from the spine of a rabid dog. The incubation of the poison occupied 15 days. As soon as the first rabbit inoculated was dead, a portion from its spinal marrow was in turn inoculated into a second rabbit, and so on until 60 rabbits have been inoculated. I said 30, it's actually 60. At each successive inoculation, the virus increased in potency, and the last period of incubation did not occupy more than 7 days. And so the reason why it's a series of vaccines for a human is that they give you the weakest virus first, the one from the last rabbit, and then they move up in potency over several days. And I know this for a fact because I got bitten by a rabbit dog when I was 5 years old in Mexico. My dad and my uncle caught the dog, turned it into the animal control. They
have to like
the dog
cut
and
their
it was
head
positive.
off.
My
Tested
parents
it.
were
They have to cut its head off.
obviously, terrified of what was going to happen to me. Took me to a clinic. I got the one shot of the rabies vaccine right in the belly button, and then at 3 days, and then at 7, and then at 12 or 13, and then at 17, and then at 21. I got the whole series right in the belly button each time of the old style rabies vaccine. Now it's given in the arm. They took all the fun out of it. They just give it to you in the arms and over a few days. But the same principle holds. They give you a little bit of the virus to give you immunity, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more, so that the rabies virus that's in you from the bite doesn't have enough time to multiply and cause disease, because your immune system is already on it. It's already been primed through the vaccination. So Pasteur presents his findings in 1885, and Joseph Meister lived in Paris, worked at the Pasteur Institute all the way until 1940, when Nazi Germany invaded Paris. That's the day that he passed away. So we have now gone through a living virus that causes the disease over to an attenuated virus. Now we're going to move into the era of the kill viruses. We're skipping one era, that is the antitoxin era, where the vaccines against toxoids came, and those toxoids are diphtheria, tetanus, etc. Also very interesting, but just as you can imagine, there's a lot to go through. So we're gonna go straight to the polio vaccine. A virus gets killed, and even when dead, the dead virus can cause trigger immunity. So Franklin Roosevelt contracted polio as a young adult. Nevertheless, he became quite a public figure, a politician, elected over and over and over and over again as president in the 1930s and 1940s. These epidemics of polio started in the US mid 1800s, late 1800s or so, and then just happened every summer. Every summer, somewhere in the United States, hundreds, if not thousands, of kids would get polio, and out of those hundreds or thousands, dozens, if not hundreds, would die from paralysis. To help with the paralysis, when you're paralyzed by the polio virus because it damages your nerves, people would get put into these iron lungs because there weren't respirators like we have now, right? They would get put into these iron lungs to help them breathe. And so entire hospital wards would be filled with paralyzed children and young adults during those years. And Franklin Roosevelt decided to start what is now the March of Dimes, what used to be a paralytic polio research association, and to raise money for it. So the thing about the polio virus is that it comes in 3 main strains, 1, 2, and 3. And Dorothy Horseman, in this picture, she helped clarify how polio was transmitted. In the 1940s, the prevailing theory was that paralytic polio was transmitted through the nose into the central nervous system. So you didn't ingest it through the mouth, you breathed it in. That was the main thing that people thought. But she actually proved that no, that it could be transmitted by mouth or by blood. And she analyzed different body sites and discovered the virus was there. And so she is the one who had the breakthrough that it wasn't through the nose into the brain. It was actually consumed through water and into the stomach and the intestines, and then onto the brain. Polio was a very common thing again in the summers. Entire towns would close themselves off to children because they thought that the polio would be transmitted from one child to another just by being in the same room. Right. That was not the case.
It was water.
But we look at the restrictions now for COVID-19. Look at this: children under 16 not allowed to enter this town. Seems pretty restrictive, right?
Right. Children under 16 not allowed to enter this town. Right. Okay. So Board of Health. With COVID, we were like wiping down our bags. We were staying home, hopefully staying home. I was, and just we had lockdown a few times in Los Angeles, and I know people had their feelings about that, but I hope those same people are outraged about what's happening right now in DC and in Chicago and in LA.
Compared to what we've seen even now, This was all over the place. Their entire places, entire towns in Virginia have a history of being closed down for the summers and not having any economy for the summers when polio would hit. Then around the same time, Isabel Morgan here on the left, she discovered that polio has 3 types. And so it was obvious why previous vaccines had not been working. They were making vaccines of just one type of polio, but then the other 2 types would attack and
variations.
Give polio to the person. So when she discovered that there's actually 3 types, Dr. Jonas Salk on the right decided to experiment by killing the 3 types of virus with a formalin, which is a chemical, and creating the injectable polio vaccine. She also discovered that when you got infected with polio, it wouldn't go straight to your brain or to your nervous system. It would take some time and then would get into your blood. And if it got into your blood and then onto your nervous system, that meant that the immune system could have a chance. If circulating antibodies, which are part of the immune system, were there already, then even if you got polio into the gut, once it hit the bloodstream, it would be attacked by the antibodies and not go into your brain. Again, you can still get infected, right? You're still getting it into your intestines and multiplying there and then heading out, but you're not getting the full-blown disease.
What's the one?
She, to this day, is is the only woman inducted into the Polio Hall of Fame. There she is in the center. So the polio vaccine brings us to this era of mass vaccinations, of people standing in line to get vaccinated, of people standing in line to bring their children to get the vaccine. You see this in the 1950s in the US, the 1960s and 70s in the Americas and Europe, in the 1980s and 90s in Africa. And now, as I said, polio is the last vestiges of it are in Afghanistan and Pakistan. And so you see people there getting the vaccine to try to get it completely eradicated. So one of the things I want to make emphasis here is that we've covered these eras of vaccination, and I want you to look at the technology of each time. When Edward Jenner was around, the only way to get around was horse-drawn carriages.
Right.
When Louis Pasteur was around, the trains were starting. The airplane didn't come around until the 1910s, 1920s.
Right.
And then bigger planes, we went to the moon. These space tourists just went into space. So technology advances very fast, and technology has certainly advanced when it comes to the vaccines. And one of the biggest advances was the combination of vaccine technology with genetics. And so that's when the mRNA vaccines arrived, not last year, not the year before. They arrived all the way back in the 1990s. So in the 1990s, scientists were studying mice that didn't have a gene for a protein. And they decided to give the mRNA into the mice to see if that mRNA could make that cell produce the protein that the mice needed. The only problem was that the immune system, when you give it to higher animals, higher primates, humans, the mRNA gets attacked by the immune system and it doesn't get to do its job. But in the early 2010s, 2005, 2010, they discovered how to protect the mRNA by wrapping it in wrapping it in fat, so that the immune system would not attack it until it had its work, until it did its work. So between 2010 and 2020, you had cancer vaccines, diabetes vaccines, and beginning of trials on infectious vaccines. This is all research. We still don't have a vaccine against cancer, but a lot of research was done into safety of the vaccines, onto how to deliver it, onto how to make the mRNA produce the protein. What happened in 2020? President Trump authorizes Operation Warp Speed. A ton of money goes into research. As the pandemic is developing, here's a timeline of the pandemic. The cluster of respiratory disease in China in 2019, WHO reports it in January. The first cases arrive in the US in late January. Public health emergency of international concern is declared on January 31st. The sequence of the novel coronavirus is published in February. In March, the pandemic is declared. The Operation Warp Speed begins in May. And by August, we have the clinical trials beginning for the mRNA vaccine. July, August, my wife was in the Moderna clinical trial. And then by December, the FDA grant the emergency use authorization for Pfizer, and then the Moderna vaccine a week later, and then the Johnson & Johnson vaccine a couple of weeks after that. So a lot of people, obviously, they see this and they say to move too fast. Well, the vaccine had been working on it since the 1990s. It's just that a lot of money and a lot of opportunity came in 2020. And so here you have these two ways of looking at it. The traditional development on the top, where you have decided exploratory studies for
Everyone
many years,
calm
and this is what happened
down.
in the 2020s. And then you have
Okay, Instagram, you don't know what's going on or Twitch, you don't know what's going on right now. I don't know if anyone's watching on Twitch, but hi Twitch. I know you're there, and you can always, if you want my attention and you want to catch me, but I just caught this in the chat of YouTube. Everyone calm down and behave, okay? No more. It's okay. If someone wants to say they love me, that's okay. Just let them say it. You don't gotta make fun of them. But I have to say, it was funny. Anyway, I don't want to encourage it. Okay. So just everyone be nice. You know what you did. Anyway, good job, Madam Drab. That was perfect. Okay. So let's keep learning. I need to get some water. My food is going to be here at 6:19. Okay. It's 4:20 somewhere.
phase 1 that lasts a couple of years, phase 2 that lasts a couple of years, phase 3 that lasts a couple of years. And if you see below the vaccines for COVID-19, it's just that the clinical trials were all done at the same time. There was a lot of risk to that, right? These companies took a big risk, but they had a lot of money behind it to like overcome those risks, and a lot of impetus because the pandemic was going on. And so they condensed the clinical trial times and submitted the same data, the same clearances to the FDA to get the authorization. Not only that, but as the clinical trials were going on, they went into mass production of the vaccines, so that when the authorization was given, the vaccines were ready to go. That in itself was also a big gamble. But again, the money was there to take that big gamble. Otherwise, they would have waited until after the FDA approved them to then begin the large-scale production of the vaccine. In this case, they were doing it along with the clinical trials. And lucky for them, lucky for us, the vaccines worked. They were safe. They were very effective, incredibly effective. This is a map of the United States, percent vaccination. Some states are missing the data, but this is from the New York Times and the CDC. And as you can see, the uptake of vaccination really, really depends, right, on what part of the country.
Okay, I will say hello. Abhishek Jatrana. Hello. Hi. I'm sure you don't have Venmo. Maybe you do. Maybe they have Venmo in Delhi. I don't know. But I have to say, can I tell you my favorite sweet treats? Well, one of my definitely top favorite sweet treats are mithai. I have to say, I really like them. They're delicious. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Kalakand is one of my favorites, and I haven't had it in a long time. But yeah, I hope to have it soon. Next time I'm in Berkeley. Okay, let's keep watching, and we're learning about vaccines and vaccination.
And as we probably heard and seen in the movie and the not in the movies, as we probably have heard and seen in the news, it depends a lot on political ideologies, political leanings, both of the recipients of the vaccine, but also the leaders of the vaccine. So I see there's questions in the chat, and we'll get to this here in a little bit. So what comes next? We're in this new era of vaccination of genes, and so one of the things that you can infer or you can deduce from genetics is, are you at risk of acquiring a disease? Right now, one of the big mysteries is why are younger children less likely to develop full-blown disease from COVID? They can still get it, but they don't develop a full-blown disease. Why? Is it genetic? And if it's so, then what gene is it? And if we can activate that gene in other people, could we protect them? And if you're not at risk of getting it, then maybe you don't need the vaccine. We can hold off from vaccinating you until later. Are you at risk of being injured or dying from the disease? Again, if you're at higher risk of getting injured or dying from the disease, then maybe we should move you to the top of the line to get vaccinated. Are you going to react badly to a vaccine based on your genetics? Then we might not give you that vaccine. We might look for another way of protecting you, and so on and so forth. So These are called vaccinomics. Scientists are now working on that and looking at your genetic makeup and creating vaccines that are tailored to your genetic makeup.
Wow, that's cool.
So my last section here is the unsung heroes. It's the everyday folks, as those of you in the audience who are working in healthcare, who are working in community outreach, who are working with people who are working to go out there and get people not only the vaccines are not the end all be all for diseases, you know, to get them to eat better, to get them to live better, to get them to live in less crowded settings, to get them to be you know, less poor, less overcrowded. If there's substance use disorders, you know, they have that, to maybe go into a harm reduction program, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of unsung heroes when it comes to vaccination. You know, I talked about the Balmis expedition. Isabel Gomez was a nurse. She's the one who took care of all these orphans that traveled. You don't hear a lot about her when the story of this expedition is told. Her story is certainly very, very admirable in that she cared for these boys.
Oh wait, I should find you here too. Where are you? Let me see if you're still watching. I think you are. Where are you? Hate it that I don't know like where you are on all the accounts. Like if you're on Instagram, I'd like to be able to block you. Wish you would message me. Maybe this is you. I don't know. But I'm gonna block you. And I'll block this person. I don't care. Maybe it's you. Anyway. That's a lot of people name that. This is so stupid. I'm not pushing anything. I want you guys to know something. I'm not pushing anything. You can do whatever you want. I think if you are healthy, all these people are, I'm healthy. Great. Go get vaccinated. Then you sure you're healthy. You should be able to have a vaccine. You know, keep the community safe. Some people aren't healthy. I'm going to take this person off the board because you know what? And they don't even get my spit. Because they tried to like keep writing me a message on Venmo, and that's not how this works. D, not how it works. Okay, if you're watching, I don't know if I was able to block you on Instagram, but I would love to block you there. So feel free to reach out to me. If you want to say something, you can send me a Venmo. And if you comment something because you don't like my response to your first message to me, make sure it's not stupid. Block them on Venmo. So now you can't say anything. And I can't see anything. Boop. All right, cool. Let's keep learning about this. I get your spit. No, your name's not even on the board. If you want me to write name, fail, penalty. I'm healthy and vaxxed. Terry Lee, thank you. Yeah. Don't be a dumb.
Boys, like they were her own children, and she raised several.
Abhishek, I'm sorry.
Them as her own. She ended up staying in Mexico and then gone to history. We don't know exactly what happened to her after that. You see all these people in the field trials that were not clinical trials, they were field trials for polio. You see all these people, you know, giving their time and effort to get kids vaccinated. This is in New York City. This picture is in Mississippi. You know, people just donating their time to getting kids vaccinated against something that is very serious. In Africa, here you have Mr. Isaac here with these kids who have just all gotten the polio vaccine. This is in 2018.
Polio's
they're showing
just
their pinky finger, because when they give them the vaccine, they also mark their pinky finger so they don't get another dose of the vaccine, saying that, showing that they're vaccinated. And so Mr. Isaac, you know, in some difficult conditions, he is out there providing the polio vaccine. This picture is from Mexico. You have a vaccinator at a clinic giving a child the vaccine. I am the product of many of these clinics in Mexico, you know, protecting us kids against diseases that would otherwise kill a.
Abhishek, yes, I would. This one right here. My cookbook, How to Eat Weed and Have a Good Time. It's up top. It's pinned to the top of the chat. It's on Amazon, which is like probably the easiest way. Oh, there's a little dust on this. Easiest way to get it. But yeah, this is my cookbook. It's got me. I'm in it. I'm on it. Thank you, everyone who's reviewed it. I really appreciate that. It helps a lot. And yeah, this is my cookbook. How to Eat Weed and Have a Good Time. Lots of fun science in here. It's an exciting cookbook.
A large percentage of us. I went to Barranquilla, Colombia in 2014 for the Zika epidemic.
That's right, Patricia.
If you've ever been to Colombia, to Barranquilla in particular, very, very hot, incredibly hot. But yet you have these community health workers, caminantes, walking from house to house, checking vaccine records. And here you have one of them doing that at a household. And if they found a child that was under vaccinated or needed vaccinations, they offered the vaccines right then and there.
Right.
Again, very hot. I was exhausted just half an hour into this.
Wow.
They would do this day after day, neighborhood after neighborhood, just going out there. We don't know who they are, right? They're not the developers, they're not the Salk, the Isabel Morgans, but they're certainly incredibly important to the effort of preventing infectious diseases through vaccination.
I think it is.
And this one is the one that always kind of makes me even tear up.
You can always check.
Because this
Click
is
the link.
23-year-old Irfanullah, carrying the polio vaccine to the top of the world in Pakistani mountains. He said, "It is my duty to cover each and every child in my area in administering the polio vaccine. And for this purpose, I have to face all kinds of challenges. Our mission is to protect every child of the country from this debilitating disease. And for this purpose, we will continue our effort until we accomplish our goal. I and all my colleagues are related that our efforts are being valued by the world. We hope this will boost Pakistan's efforts to eradicate polio. It is our desire to see the end of polio, not just in Pakistan, but the entire world." And it always gets me because, you know, the effort put into this, he doesn't need to do this. He really doesn't. There's a better way of getting up there, right? Maybe a helicopter. But he does this, and so does Mr. Isaac, and so do the other ones. And so those of you in the audience who do this kind of thing, you know, the unsung heroes, not just for vaccination, but for all things public health related. We can have all the research in the world, we can have all the epidemiologists in the world, but without the people to translate that into action, into knowledge for the community, into getting the community overall picture of health better, it goes without saying. So with that, I want to thank you very, very much for your attention. My email here, rnahira@collegeofphysicians.org.
Okay.
If you have any questions, if you want to ask anything further about this, about the history of vaccines. I'm also on social media, Twitter @EpiRen, and my my professional Facebook. I'm not going to give you my personal Facebook, but my professional Facebook page.
What's he talking about here?
Facebook.com/Renee.f.
Oh, chicken pox parties.
So with that, I guess we can go into the Q&A. Thank you so much.
Okay, Q&A. Cool. Let's hear what people want to know.
Good afternoon. I'm Sabiha. I will be moderator to the webinar, The History of Vaccine Before Jenner and After Madonna.
Oops, sorry. I'm like shaking
Thank you so much, Dr. Nehra, for this great presentation. It was actually very knowledgeable and informative presentation.
Like, share, subscribe.
So yeah, we are taking a lot of vaccine for different purpose, but we don't know about the history of the actual vaccine. So it's really great. So now we are going to take a question from QA. And as a reminder, you can still submit question to QA chat box. We will collect soon. So let's take it. Our first question is, which vaccine was developed the fastest?
The fastest vaccine was the mumps vaccine. I had a slide about it, but I took it out for time. In the 1960s, a doctor by the name of Maurice Hilleman, his little girl developed mumps, and she had like her parotid glands were huge. And he took a swab from that and went to the lab. He used to work at a lab in Philadelphia. He went to the lab and began the process of developing the mumps vaccine. That strain is the same strain that we use today. It's called the Geraldine because that's her name, Geraldine. That's the same strain that we use today for mumps. Mumps as a virus had only been discovered 4 years earlier. So they knew that there was something that caused mumps. The disease has been seen for many centuries. But it wasn't until 4 years before that, and it was in the late 1950s.
Okay, the two of you need to stop talking to each other. Okay? Are you listening to me? The two of you? I don't want you guys to talk to each other, either one of you. Both of you need to stop commenting. I'm going to put you in a timeout. Just in a timeout, okay? Okala, I understand. You're probably going to be like, why me? Just the two of you need to chill. And okay, you're both going in a timeout, okay? So chill out. Just for a little bit. Now everyone,
that they actually isolated the
cool.
virus and discovered it and named it and put it on a, they saw a picture of it. And then 4 years later, he came up with the vaccine. So that still holds the record for a fastest vaccine. The COVID-19 vaccines, it can be argued that they have the record because COVID-19 was not discovered until 2019, obviously. But SARS viruses, coronaviruses have been known since the 1950s. And so, it's the mumps vaccine.
Thank you, Dr. Nehra, answering this question. So we are going for our next question. So our next question is, given the past vaccine advance were made without necessarily the willing participation of patient, isn't that reason for people now to be skeptical of current vaccine?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not the only reason, right? There's many reasons to be skeptical. You had things like the Tuskegee experiment, where men were allowed to get syphilis and were not given treatment for syphilis because scientists wanted to see the natural progression of syphilis without any intervention. Even when antibiotics became available, they were not given antibiotics. You have the clinical trials of the contraceptive pill in Puerto Rico. You have pharmaceutical companies going into places in Africa and testing out new antibiotics that were less effective against things like meningitis. So on and so forth, not just in the history of vaccines, but in the history of medicine, the history of science. There's plenty of reasons why to be skeptical. Now, how do we counter that, right? What do we say now? Well, what we say now is that, we have these regulatory agencies that are made up of people. We have the local health departments where places like where I work. You have the state health departments. You have the federal CDC, NIH, et cetera. You have academic institutions also looking into the safety and effectiveness of these things because, they want to get published. They want to do research. They want to teach their students on how to do that kind of research. And then you have the pharmaceutical companies themselves competing with each other. Can you imagine, for example, Pfizer is looking at Moderna and saying, hey, your vaccine doesn't work, mine works better. They would love nothing better than that, right? Because then everybody would shift over to their vaccine. So you have all these different layers of looking at what everybody else is doing. We're becoming a more open society. So while there is plenty of evidence in the history that will lead one to be skeptical, there's also a lot to be hopeful from, because you have a lot of places, a lot of people, a lot of institutions looking into the safety of these things, looking into the openness. The COVID-19 vaccine, unlike any other vaccine in history, has been one of the most open ones, that you can see what people are going through when they get the vaccine and when they don't, right? We see the statistics. The statistics are being posted in many state health departments and local health departments on who is vaccinated and who isn't, who is at the hospital. And right now with the Delta variant, with this wave, 90 to 95 to, in some cases, 99% of people who are hospitalized are not vaccinated. So that gives you a clue as to the safety and effectiveness of the vaccine. So yes, there's plenty of reasons to be skeptical.
Did I scare people?
I don't fault people who are skeptical and who are a little nervous about it. But at the same time, I encourage them to look at the other side of things, to look at the benefits and at the improvements that have been made in the technology and the oversight
The
of
lives
these things
saved.
now more recently.
Yes. The
Thank you, Dr.
advancements.
Nehra. So I have another question from audience. Question is about like, given the prevalence of the Delta variant, are there other types of vaccine being developed that will aim to prevent different COVID variant?
So yeah, it's so the thing about the mRNA vaccine is that it's so easy to just switch it over to another variant very quickly. You don't even have to grow the virus in your own lab to get a vaccine. So it used to be in the times of Jenner and Pasteur and even Salk, and even in more modern days, you had to grow the virus or bacteria in your lab to split it apart to create the vaccine, or to do something with it, not just split it apart, but either kill it or do something with it. Now you don't. Now all you need is for one lab to get the Delta variant, put it in a machine that sequences its DNA or RNA in this case, gives you the code. You tell another machine, make me an mRNA of this code in it, and I'm going to put that into the vaccine, and it's super, super fast. So that's another encouraging thing, is that yes, they're ready. All right,
no worries, JJ.
To another variant, should a variant come out that is not as protected by the vaccine as even the Delta is. Even Delta, people are not getting the full-on disease if they're vaccinated. But if one comes along, the time to change that is super fast now that all you have to do is just have its genetic sequence.
Right.
Thank you, Dr. Nehra. So another question, I know we have the limited time, so we are trying to get down some questions related to our vaccine. So our next question is that if people accept a vaccine for the measles, mumps, polio, and many other diseases, why do you think the COVID-19 vaccine has been different?
Because it's not affecting children. All those other things, measles, mumps, all those other things affects children. And when a child is injured or hurt, the entire society comes out to if the child falls in a well, the whole town comes out to get the child out of the well and seal the well forever. If a child is lost, the entire community comes out to look for the child. We are very protective of our children. As a father, I have a 4-year-old little girl. I will protect her at all costs. And so that is why when you see the threat of measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox now, even though many people don't see it as a threat, but it can be quite deadly if you've seen the things that I've seen. We see that and we do it.
Chickenpox,
number one.
Shingles
Number
is
two,
so bad.
There's requirements for school for those vaccinations as well. And so
HPV, get the HPV vaccine, get shingles vaccine. Shingles is awful. Shingles is awful. My grandma had shingles. If you ever have shingles, cornstarch. Cornstarch. Okay? You'll know what I mean. Cornstarch. Okay?
So that also helps people move along to get the vaccine, because they don't want to deal with homeschooling or having to find an alternate placement for their children. They just go with it. The COVID-19 vaccine suffers from those issues, that it's being required for certain jobs, but not for school. It's also it's not affecting children as much. COVID-19 is not, although we've seen plenty of kids die from it. It's not doing it as much as the other diseases. And unfortunately, the polarization of it, right? The country is very polarized between the blues and the reds, the rights and the lefts. And one president helped get this vaccine going. The other one is really pushing for it. They both seem to be on the same page, but because of the split of the way that society is right now, it's become a polarized thing that people will tell you.
That's what you use. Like, you get these kind of like, when you have shingles, you get these like rashes that they get kind of like, you want to keep them dry. They get kind of pustuly and wet, and you want to keep them dry because you don't want that to spread. You want it to stay dry. And so cornstarch is like that's what my mom put on my grandma. That's what she did. And it was like a real revelation. So that's what I heard for shingles. If anyone who has had shingles can confirm that for me. Okay, let's keep going.
And you see it in the polling. People will tell you that because of their political leanings, they're not going to get the vaccine, or because of their political leanings, they will get the vaccine. And this is where we are. But it definitely has to do with those factors.
Thank you so much. Yeah, like when I was like young, so my mom vaccinated us like polio, a lot of vaccine. But
Get the
when
vaccine.
I was 13 and my brother,
Okay, get the vaccine. Don't get shingles. It is not fun. Don't get shingles. Get the vaccine.
elder brother, he was 14, but
If
he
you
got
can. If you
chickenpox.
can.
And huge chicken pox was his body and his inside the eye, stomach, even the urinary tract. And after the infected, he got paralyzed. And doctor told us like maybe he maybe not able to walk about a few months. So he was hospitalized 2 months, and after. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, when I was 3 or 4, I don't remember. I remember being sick, and I remember all my cousins being at my house, but I don't remember exactly what happened. And what happened was that I had chickenpox, and my mom invited my cousins over to have a chickenpox party so that they would get chickenpox and they would be immune from getting it, because chickenpox is one of those things that if you don't get it as a child,
you get it when
really
you're
don't want to
older.
get it as an adult, because it can
Shingles.
be very, very serious as an adult.
Shingles.
And so they brought over all the kids to play, but I was very sick, and they caught chickenpox, and that way they were immune. This is before the chickenpox vaccine.
Oh wait, no, is shingles
Unfortunately, one of
chickenpox,
those kids developed encephalitis, and she is deaf because of that. So
people are like, the death rate isn't that high for whatever measles or whatever this is. I'm like, okay, how many people lose their hearing or go blind, or it's just like, come on. It's not just about, that you don't die. So I don't want to get that sick. I will get a shot in my arm to not get as sick as I got last week.
Dozen kids in that house, and one of them developed a serious complication to it.
That.
And so again, that's why when I hear now the chickenpox vaccine, and people say, "Oh, you're taking all the fun out of childhood." Well, no, you're taking you're balancing the scale there towards do no harm by getting the child protected. So yeah, chickenpox parties were somebody recalls it from the 70s. Yeah. I don't remember. It wasn't fun for me, but knowing the person who has now grown into an adult with that kind of consequence, I wish the vaccine would have been available for them instead of having to go the old-fashioned way.
I've seen. I never heard about about shingle, but when I came to this country, USA, so I heard about the shingle. So I'm asking, this is not a single, this is the chickenpox, and person say, "No, this is the shingle." And then I was confused. What is the difference between the shingle and chickenpox?
It's just it's the same virus. So when you get chickenpox as a child, the virus doesn't leave your body; it stays in you. It goes dormant in your nerves. Later on, when you're an adult and something happens, your immunity goes down, you get sick, you take some medication or whatever, the virus wakes up and it causes shingles, which is a chickenpox, and it's usually along the nerves or where it was dormant. But it's the same. The shingles vaccine is a chickenpox vaccine with just a slightly different formulation for adults.
Thank you, doctor. So I have another question. From your slide. So it looks like it took about 10 years for the polio vaccine to really decrease the number of the case. Do you think it will be taken that long with the COVID vaccine?
I hope not. Probably not. It depends a lot on uptake. It depends a lot on how we continue wearing our masks and social distancing. We have 4 other coronaviruses that are circulating in the human population. They're the ones that cause really bad head colds or really bad colds. And there is evidence that when those viruses came into the human population, they caused their own pandemics. It's just that it's been probably 100 years or more since that happened. So this virus will join them. It'll be the 5th one, and in the future, in a few years, you'll have more than likely more cold-like symptoms from getting it than the severe disease that we're seeing now, because human immune systems adapt just like everything adapts. So the answer is yes and no. It won't be as critical in a few years, but we'll still be seeing it. Will we need a vaccine? That'll depend on what the epidemiology shows of how bad it gets. We don't need the vaccine right now for the other 4 coronaviruses. So if this one behaves like that one, and in a few years and a few generations, 1 generation or 2, it gets to be a nuisance more than a crisis, then yeah, we won't need the vaccine.
Thank you, Dr. Nehra. So can I take another question? Is
Yeah.
what advice do you have for people who working to help community
my
get
rosin.
vaccinated, who are skeptical about the COVID-19 vaccine?
Yeah, one of the things that I recently have grown to dislike, because I used to do it myself. A younger me would make fun of people who didn't believe in vaccines.
Right.
Would mock them or say derogatory things about them and their education if they didn't believe in vaccines. As I've grown older and wiser,
Tell
I
me,
come to
sir.
understand that people
Wisen
have their
me.
beliefs,
Right,
and
I
they
get
have
it.
reasons for those beliefs, and many times, 99% of the time, they're reasonable reasons why they don't want to do it. And so we need to have an honest conversation as to why somebody doesn't want to do it. The number one thing that I recommend is clearing up the misinformation. If
Yes,
somebody decides to not get the vaccine, let it be because they're fully informed with the right information, and they still made that decision, than because they've been misinformed and are acting on misinformation and on what are frankly lies. And respect and understanding that is the case.
Right.
Some people are so ingrained in their beliefs. That's perfectly fine, but give them the information that they need in a respectful manner so that they can make the best decision. And that is the best that we can hope, right? In a free and open society, that is the best thing. On the other hand, when you encounter somebody who is militant anti-vaccine, who is trying to promote
that, that's what I don't like.
Lies and misinformation.
That's what I don't like.
I don't mean to get the gloves off and stoop to their level, but certainly be more forceful, be more authoritative, have facts on your side and try to dispel all those facts and just
I don't engage. I can't engage.
It's just like other issues in our society. If you hear somebody saying something wrong, politely and in a good conversation, correct them, because that's how you stop that misinformation from spreading further. And in the community, go to the people. We expect in health departments and in other instances, we expect people to come to us to ask questions. We need to get out there. We need to get out there to give them the information, to meet them where they meet us. And somebody said, how can somebody learn if their stomach is empty? So maybe the reason for the skepticism is some other situation in their life. Try to understand those situations so they can,
maybe something else is going on.
If I'm fed and I'm living in a good place and I have a steady job, then I might be more comfortable in getting the vaccine, because
I'm trusting the world more. I'm trusting life more.
That I need in life, right?
Right.
And so understanding that is also a good idea.
Thank you, Dr.
Like I can pay for my health care.
Still in our society has a lot of misconception about the vaccine. Not only COVID vaccine, and a lot of vaccine I have seen, like few our community people, they don't want to take the flu vaccine. So they said, why I have to take? I have a fever. If I taking the flu shot, so still I have fever. So that's why they always hesitant. Always comes a lot of question. So yeah. Thank you.
I would like to address one of the questions in the QA if I can. So somebody mentions, if COVID-19 vaccines are safe, why many healthcare workers like doctors or nurses are still unvaccinated? That is a truth, right? Many are still unvaccinated, but the bigger truth is the proportion who are still unvaccinated, and that proportion is super small in the whole population of healthcare workers in the country, in the United States.
That's right.
The number who are unvaccinated because they don't want to get vaccinated, not because they can't. Some of them can't because they have previous medical history.
Right, exactly.
Because, the vaccine hasn't gotten to where they are yet.
Yeah.
But those who won't is very, very small. Yes, they are many, but they are very, very small. They're very vocal. They're very outspoken. They're very militant. They're very willing to file lawsuits to get on the media and social media, but they're very few. And so the vaccine is safe. And the reason why many healthcare workers are not getting it is because even in that broader population, a tiny fraction is always going to be skeptical of science, of reason, and of the evidence. And so when you say many, yes, that is true. It is many, but we need to put it in a more nuanced discussion of the proportion. And it is very, very tiny. Healthcare workers, for the most part, they want to do what is best for their patients, what is best for their families. And right now, with the evidence that we're seeing, social distancing, masking, and more
Right.
and more often to prevent the disease.
Social,
the
the vaccine. If you
Thank
can't.
Dr. Dahara. So I want to ask another question. Who have working on the challenge of developing a successful vaccine to prevent HIV? Would you like to know precisely how the COVID vaccine were developed so quickly and effectively?
So, like I said in the discussion, what they did is that they did a clinical trials at the same time that they were doing the manufacturing. So they compressed the timelines a lot, and they took a risk. And somebody mentioned this risk about the cost. They took a risk because if under normal circumstances, if they do that and it doesn't work,
We were stuck
they're out
at
of a lot of
home,
money. They might even have to shut down operations.
but the
because
government
there
was paying for
that
this
insurance.
risk.
Think of it like an insurance. If you fail, you're still insured for all your losses.
They're like,
and so that's why they
take
did
it.
it. The thing about the HIV vaccine is that HIV virus
It's not.
mutates. Every time it multiplies and mutates, and it becomes.
That's what I wanted. I'm not that. I knew that about HIV, but I'm glad he's speaking on it. And that's what I keep on saying. Every virus is different. Every virus is different. Every virus is different. Every virus is different. So every vaccine is going to be different. Okay, now really my food is here. She's upset. Let's keep learning.
It becomes a completely different kind of virus.
We got a little bit longer.
Many times over, even inside of an HIV infected person. So when somebody gets infected with HIV and they develop HIV and hopefully not AIDS, not that we have treatment for that.
Right.
But if they pass it on to somebody else, they're passing on a completely different virus. Not so with the coronavirus. It does mutate, but it doesn't mutate as fast as the HIV virus.
HIV.
It is that rate of mutation, that fact that
makes
from
it
one person to
difficult.
the other, it is a completely different virus, that it is making it so hard to get a vaccine. Because when you develop the vaccine, you might as well develop it for a billion kind of HIV viruses, because it is behaving like that. Also, HIV viruses are what we call retroviruses. They behave in a completely different way than regular viruses. So there's some of the mechanics there without getting into a full class about virology. That's why it's taking so long. That's why it's so difficult to get that, versus a coronavirus, which is a slow mutator, is more of a traditional respiratory virus, and so on and so forth. And the influenza virus mutates slightly faster than coronavirus. And so the reason why we're seeing so many variants is because so many people the world over are getting coronavirus. If it was behaving like the flu, we would see less variants than we do with the flu, less mutations.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Noya.
Let me get my food.
Next question is, our next question is, thank you for the question is, why do you think scientists were so confident to mass manufacture it?
Again, because they had that history of the mRNA vaccines going to the 1990s, and they had seen what they could do, and so they had the backing of the U.S. government as an insurance. And so even if that for some reason didn't work, they had the insurance of that money, but they had seen the evidence. And so if you look at the literature, if you go to PubMed.gov and type in mRNA vaccines, and
JJ, Dallas Buyers Club. Yeah, that was a great movie. It did teach me a lot about HIV, but I learned about that. I learned that when I volunteered at what were we doing? I volunteered a lot. I went to a Jesuit high school. My parents are, religious family, complicated, but volunteering and that was a big part of growing up for me. So, I learned that HIV is it mutates quickly. And so it's hard. That's why it's been difficult, but they do have medication now, and there's PrEP. So obviously you can take preventative measures to not get it. So it's really awesome. And hopefully more awareness about that will just change perspectives about it. So,
and filter out anything before 2019. You have a lot of papers, a lot of evidence about these vaccines for other things like
I got
cancer,
a really good dinner.
and then more recently for infectious diseases. So the science was already there. It was just applying it to this particular virus. If it hadn't been applied to coronavirus, in 2 to 5 years, it would have been applied to some other infection, other virus, maybe the flu. And they are doing mRNA flu clinical trials. So it was only a matter of time until it was
happen.
done. What really pushed it ahead was the pandemic and the money.
Okay, this has been delivered, so I want you guys to consider that.
So, and to take another question. So, can the speed of develop of the COVID mRNA vaccine to duplicate without an operational web speed like funding in the future?
Ooh,
once a germ xenome is known for that.
Ooh, this is so spicy. I love it. I'm going to go to the main. I actually want to go to the boop. Let me put you guys on the main too. This is so hot. Oh my God, I was not expecting it to be this spicy, but I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Oops, that's my boop. Oh wait, this isn't on. Let me turn this on. There we are. We haven't been... Where is it? Deactivate, activate. Huh, it's not working. I'm sorry, you guys. 1 second. We'll go back to the main. I wanted to show you this up close, but my camera is not. Maybe if I unplug it and plug it in again. But wait. This is ridiculous. Cover my eyes. So this is from Amboy, and do not judge it by this because this is delivered, okay? And let me tell you, I know the flavor is going to be off the charts, okay? And if I was there, it would be better, okay? So people, go to Amboy. Don't, go to Amboy, basically. Go there. I'm going to eat this. I'm going to take a bite of this. I got some other things in here, some treats for me. I know this is very probably, don't read into this. My dog is looking at me. Mm-hmm. That's really good. I was like, does it need a little anything on it? No. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I didn't know I was craving that so hard. The bread is so buttery. The bread is buttery. The dog, it's spicy. It's got a good spice though. This is yum spice. One more bite because I got more things. My dog is losing it. She cannot have that. I went a little crazy, you guys. Rhea, you drive me crazy. I just can't sleep. And boy, I'm so excited. I'm in too deep. Come on. It's so good. But that, buttery. Just buttery. Just, ooh. Yes. Take a dab. Order some Amboy. Okay, so this was inspired This was inspired by my friend Justin's show. I want to make sure I get it right. Is it the burger show? It's on First We Feast. And it looks really good too. Okay. It's looking good. Also looking good. Let me open it up for you. For my eyeballs. I feel like it needs to be more melty. But I'm just opening it because... But also, like, what did I say? Don't judge. Because I had this delivered. This was not made right. There. So if this was hot off the grill, it would be like, you know, perfect. It's still perfect. Perfectly imperfect. Like all of us. I feel like this needs that. It's good. But I want... This is like some sauce, burger sauce. Okay, let me dip it in this. Let me dip it in that. Let me dip it in this. Mushroom bacon grilled cheeseburger is good too. Let's try that. Oops. Flip that cheese back on there. Good thing I didn't flip it across the room. Okay, I like the dog. I'm into the dog. I like this too. It's a lot of bread for me, but I'm obsessed with that dog. I'm gonna finish it. But first, before I go back, I also got French fries. You guys didn't even know what I was up to. You had no idea. You had no idea. Okay. So these are cheesy. Let me actually get you a better. Oniony, spicy, all the things in y. Spicy, oniony, cheesy. And again, these were delivered, so they're going to be garbage. But I don't care. As long as that sauce slaps, you know. We'll put a couple more. But I want to go back to that dog. Spicy. It's all about those chilies for me. Okay. Perfect stoner snack. Dinner. Don't worry, I'll eat it later too. But sometimes, like, I need to have a moment to myself. And also, I got one more thing. Because I'm a brat. I got a little beard, papas. My dog is losing it. I know, Baban. You guys, I couldn't help myself. I needed a sweet treat. I needed a sweet treat. Oops. Or 3. 3 sweet treats from Beard Papas. Let me wash my mouth. Okay, I'm being so bad. But I've been looking forward to this, so. Classic. Classic. Let's try it. Oh my God. The light's too bright. Let me try and do this again. Sorry, give me one more shot, actually. Maybe I'll put it back here. Baba, you can't have this. I'm so sorry. There it is. Oops. That's not how I want it to be. That's the weird shot for you guys. But whatever. I want you guys to see this. Okay. Look at that. Can you see? There we go. That's more focused. YouTube or Instagram, you can't really see. But I'll show you in a second. It's really tasty. It's very good. Ooh. If you want a close up, you have to come to YouTube. Yum. And then I can just go boop. No, Bonbon. I'm so sorry. You can definitely not have this. I'm going to take one more bite of this one because it's so good. Oops. The cream was full, Petra. It's so good. Okay. And then I got a matcha. Of course I did. Couldn't help myself. There's 3 cute little flavors. And I was like, you bet I want all 3. Don't you do it, senza tre. Let me take a little bite. Ooh. It's not like an intense matcha, which for me is really great. It's a little bit more floopy. Like it's fallen apart a little bit. Came out the butt. But I don't think that's the matcha's fault. Take another bite. What a mess. That's a lot of cream, people. That's a lot of cream. Anyway, put that down. Put it down, Vanessa. No, Bonbon. You cannot have. Are you okay? I know, but Mom. She's like, when are you going to be done this shit? Hi, Elio. Okay, one last one. And I got the Oreo. I couldn't help myself. Look at that. Look at it. I said, look at it. Okay, now I'm going to take a bite of it. No, Mama, you cannot have this. I don't have my glasses. I can hardly see the keyboard. It's really great. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You got to just, you're not going to throw it out. Look at that. Oh, it's so creamy. Let me do this. Look, you guys. Ugh, with the Oreo. Give me a break. Oh no. Boo. Okay. One more bite. Messiest yet. Bonbon's like, can I have some cream? No. Okay. What makes these so good? It's not too sweet. I know I'm being disgusting. I don't really care. Deal with it. Call my mom. Tell her I licked my fingers. And that was awesome. Okay, they're so good. They are so good. All 3 flavors. Whatever you like. All right. We're going to end this soon. So if you want to send any more super chats before we go, I'm going to go back to our watch scene real quick. And
pathogen in future using the
one more
same
boop.
mRNA technology?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yes, what they can do now is they'll take the genetic code. So for example, the influenza vaccine right now, what they have to do is they get the flu virus from somewhere in the world.
What happened?
A new strain comes out. They take it, they put it in an egg, a chicken egg. It grows. They take it from there and then they put it in another chicken egg and it grows, and they attenuate it that way if it's going to be a live virus, just like Pasteur did with the rabbits. Or they take it, they grow it in a chicken egg, and then they put it in a chemical to kill it, and that's the killed vaccine.
I can't eat anything.
To get your immune
I can't eat anything. I can't eat. How else are you supposed to eat a cream puff? What are you supposed to do when it poops out the butt? Eat it. Get your minds out of the gutter.
And I'm forgetting about H and the N, HA and then N antigens. And so H and N antigens. And so if they give you those viruses, your immune system will create antibodies against the H and the N antigens, the proteins on top of the virus. So what they can do now,
Nala, you love the cream puffs
code in the virus that creates those proteins,
so
and put that mRNA code into the mRNA vaccine, give it to you, your cells produce those proteins, your immune system reacts to those proteins, and you become immune to those proteins instead of having the virus inside of you. So yes, very promising for flu, very promising for some of these viral diseases where the immunity depends only on the surface proteins of the virus, the antigens. For more complicated viruses like HIV, it might be a little bit more difficult to do. And then we have the really slow viruses like mumps. Again,
but this was 3 years ago, you guys.
From the 1950s is still what we use because the mumps has not mutated. The same thing with the measles, very slow mutators. So for those, it might also benefit us from an mRNA vaccine,
right?
That can be given, and created rather efficiently.
Boop, boop, boop.
Because again, you don't have to grow the virus, you don't have to expose your lab personnel to that virus anymore. Right. You just get the code and you put it in the machine and it makes it for you.
Thank you, Dr. Nehara. So I have another question. Sorry, it's a lot of questions.
It's okay.
Can you tell us about the MU variant? How is it
Why would I put them in the freezer? The cream puffs? They're filled with pastry cream. I'm gonna eat them first of all. But I'll put them in the fridge. Don't worry, it's okay. I'll put them away. I'm gonna take this dab.
Compare it to other variants. So what causes a mutation for this virus?
So let's start with what causes the mutations. So if I give you a sheet of paper with a story on it, and I tell you to copy it word for word onto a piece of paper, and I tell you to do it as fast as you can, you're going to make some mistakes. When you make those mistakes, you can go back and you can correct those mistakes, and it looks the same. It makes a copy of you. You're making a copy, and you corrected your mistakes. Viruses, when they multiply, they're making copies of themselves, but they don't have the mechanisms to correct those mistakes. So each little mistake in the copying of the genetic code, each little mistake becomes its own mutation. And so you do this over and over again with millions and millions of people getting the virus all over the world, and millions of viruses inside of you. The chances of a mutation are very, very high because there's just no way to correct that mistake. So that is what causes these mutants to come up. And there are mutants that don't concern us because the virus behaves the same way. It's either just as infectious as the original one, or even less infectious, or it responds well to the vaccine. Once in a while, we get something like Delta that is more infectious, but reacts the same way to the vaccine. And then once in a while, we get Mu, the Mu variant that is coming up right now that seems to be more infectious, and the vaccine doesn't work as well for it. There's still not a lot of evidence, epidemiological evidence. A lot of the evidence is laboratory based, but we need to see a little bit of how it's behaving in an actual human population to be concerned. So right now, they're taking a close look at it at who is getting infected, how sick are they if they become sick, and if they're vaccinated versus unvaccinated, how they're reacting to it. And then when that comes out, we'll worry more. Right now, my best advice to everybody is to not worry about it, because it's not something to worry about.
Hi,
right
Zachary
now,
Mitchell.
that we have to worry about. If you have the vaccine, then your level of worrying should be less. And if you are not vaccinated, then I encourage you to get vaccinated. The level of worrying will be less once you get it. I tell you from personal experience. So that's how that happens.
Thank you, Dr. Nehara. So I have to take another question, and another, I think it's 2 questions. So does the vaccine protect against unpredicted mutant?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. If the unpredicted mutant, again, if it happens to match what we have, then yes, it protects it. If it happens to be a totally weird mutant, then no. The other thing is that these are not the only 5 known coronaviruses. There's another coronavirus that caused the epidemic in 2003. There's another one that caused the epidemic in 2012, the MERS epidemic. So they're out there, and the more that we grow our cities into the natural ecosystems of animals that carry these coronaviruses, the more likely these things are going to happen. And it's not just coronaviruses; it's other viruses that can jump from animals to humans. If they mutate in the animal population to adapt to be able to cause human infection, we're gonna have another pandemic on our hands.
Right.
And so the vaccine does protect you against some unpredicted mutants, but it might not against others. It just depends on what happens. It's really a lot of luck right now that we're riding on. I should be the one giving the updates on the news. No, Dr. Fauci does a really good job at that.
People are gonna be mad about that.
I say that jokingly, but I also do want to warn. Dr. Fauci does not know everything.
Yeah.
He's human. He's fallible too.
That's right.
Get your information, your scientific information, from a variety of scientific sources.
Right.
Don't just go with one. As much as I love Dr. Fauci, I also I trust but verify the things that he says. He said some things when the measles outbreaks were happening a couple of years ago. Somebody asked him if vitamin A protected against measles, and he said yes. I know that he meant no, but he said yes, because if you have vitamin A, if you eat well, and I eat well, obviously, then you're less likely to have complications from measles. If you're undernourished and you don't have enough vitamin A and you get measles, the complications could be severe. And so they asked him that, and he kind of answered yes, but he didn't mean that the vitamin A protected you from the measles disease. It protected you from the complications of the measles disease. And so I was like, oh, Dr. Fauci, like, you missed an opportunity.
Right.
There.
So that's the difference. Do you get the difference between that? So it doesn't protect you from getting it. It protects you from, it helps you deal with the consequences of it, with the virus.
Sources, varied sources, and verify them
and
against
also
each other. If a majority of scientists are saying something, there's something to that. And I know we sometimes like to think of the maverick scientist, the one scientist that is going against everybody. It doesn't work that way in science.
No.
2 + 2. If everybody agrees that it's 4, and somebody comes along saying it's 5, 2 + 2 is 4. Not because everybody agrees, but because 2 + 2 is 4. So always be wary of the people who call themselves mavericks or want to go against the scientific consensus. And that said, science does change as well. We saw it with this epidemic, right? I was saying last year not to get masks because you could get the virus on your eyes, you could get it through your hands, etc. But once it became clear that masks work to prevent the asymptomatic, and that was what changed everything, was the number of asymptomatic people. You don't see this number of asymptomatic people with other infections like the flu, like people measles. Most everybody who gets those gets symptomatic, and that they're sick and infected. This one threw us a curveball when 40% of people were asymptomatic or even more. Children, completely asymptomatic. Then the masks became necessary.
That sucks, Patty.
And so we will change and we will tweak as the evidence comes around, and that happens. And I think that eroded trust a little bit because folks want a steady, this is how it works. And when it didn't, they kind of made them think that, oh, well, then they don't know what they're talking about. But that's how science works as well.
Thank you. It's very informative. So I have another question about who are actually vaccine hesitant, and now is booster shot is there.
Thanks.
So still people, having a lot of question and hesitant definitely there. So for those who continue to hesitate to get vaccinated, and what would you say to them? Like, what is the effectiveness of the booster shot?
So I don't like to call it the booster shot. It's the third dose. Every vaccine, every infection.
But that was 3 years ago.
Over time, the immunity goes away because you're not being boosted by the community. So chickenpox is a really good example. Chickenpox, the reason why it stays dormant inside of you is because children around you will have chickenpox. And they will boost your immunity. So you will get exposed to their chickenpox, and then your immunity reacts again and again and again and again. Now that more children are vaccinated against chickenpox, that is not happening. And what happens is that your immunity is waning. And so the virus inside of you wakes up. And so you're seeing shingles at younger and younger age groups because this is what is happening. There will come the time when you don't see shingles anymore because everybody will have gotten the chickenpox vaccine. And so then that's over. Game over. There's no more chickenpox. And so for this one, the third dose is necessary in people who are showing signs that their immunity is gone after 8-9 months or so, who have not been boosted because that's actually a good thing. They've been taking care of themselves. They haven't been as exposed, right? So there's that need there. So a lot of vaccines started off that way. The measles vaccine back in the 60s, they thought it was once and done because once everybody got their first dose, they seemed to be immune and the numbers started dropping. It wasn't until the 1990s that they kind of realized when those kids from the 60s and 70s grew up, they kind of realized, oops, we need a second dose, a booster dose, because they're getting it at older age groups. We're seeing some of that now with mumps as well. There's probably very soon is going to be a need for a mumps booster before college because a lot of college age kids are getting mumps, even though they're quote unquote fully vaccinated. They don't get it as badly as if they were not vaccinated, but they're still getting it. So this happens. It's just that we're seeing everything happen in kind of a fast forward, kind of very fast, because so many people are getting COVID because it's a pandemic and it's happening so fast. And so as to the effectiveness, it should be just as effective as the first 2 doses. It just brings you back up to a level that if you do get the infection, your body will clear it out very, very fast before you feel symptoms. Most of the time, a few people will get symptoms. Yes, a few people will get severe disease, but again, the number, we can say few, but the proportion is actually very tiny.
So it will be my last question. So these questions, I think it's another 2 questions I have to ask you. So are doctor and research required to let us know when the vaccine are updated?
No, they're not. I mean, is a restaurant required to update you when they change the recipe for your favorite chicken? So no, they're required to tell regulatory agencies like the FDA when they change something in the vaccine. If the change is significant enough in the ingredients, et cetera, that they need to do clinical trials, they need to do those clinical trials. But if in the case of the flu vaccine, when they change strains every year, they do a very small, very limited clinical trial just to make sure that they hit the right strain. But it's like, think of it like an apple pie. If you have apple pie and you want to make cherry pie, you can have all the everything the same except the filling. You just change apple for cherry, and you still have a delicious pie. And so the same thing is with the vaccines. If you just change one little component, it's not going to change the overall aspect of it. You don't need to notify the regulatory agencies.
Thank you.
Right.
Somebody said something. I didn't want to call it a booster shot because boosting is more of an effect of being exposed to the disease and your immune system being boosted by being exposed to the disease, to the infection, than a vaccine. I know it's interchangeable, and yes, you can call it a booster shot. The media are calling it a booster shot, but it's scientifically it's a third dose. Boosting comes from being exposed, not from the vaccine.
Thank you, Dr. Nehra. So
Very
another
cool.
question, like, would you like to recommend any source for us to get information about vaccine?
Yeah, so we have CDC, we have NIH as the traditional ones. I think the World Health Organization does a great job with their infographics in different languages around the world. The Pan American Health Organization for Spanish and Portuguese and in French, I think also they have some there. So look to those academic institutions, Johns Hopkins, George Washington University. A lot of them, they also have really neat infographics. And then your local, in the United States, local health departments and state health departments are employing more and more creative people to create some of that information. So you can also look to them. And then just again, take it from validated sources more than others. Be very skeptical of things that people share on social media.
Don't trust people on Facebook.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys, very cool. Let me go back to the main. I'm going to boop this, and then we're going to call it an evening because I got to walk my little doggy. Boop boop. Anyway, thank you. If you had a good time tonight, please send me a super chat. You can Venmo me, and I will see it right away, and then I'll read it right away, and I'll put your name in cursive on the board. If you had a good time, please let me know. Oop. These are my patrons. Ooh. You can join my Patreon. It's the Edibles Club. Oops, hit the mic. Anyway, if you had fun tonight and you want to support the club and you want to see your name here, then join the Patreon, the Edibles Club. If you want to have a DM, if you want to join the Discord, that's all on Patreon. So patreon.com/Edibles Club. Thank you, Nyala. Thank you, Jaden. Thank you, Patricia. You guys are so sweet. Thank you. And let me know if I'm pronouncing everyone's name correctly. Madam Dram, good night. Thank you, everyone, for the super chats. I'm going to walk the little doggy. And, after those, it's always good to walk after you have a meal like that, everybody. It's always good to get a little exercise, move your body if you can. If you can, we're so lucky. So let's use our bodies that we're able to move. Okay, that was fun. I'm back. I'm not Alan. Alan is my name. Oh, thank you. Oh, it's because oh, that's really cool. Alan, thank you. Now I know. I love it. I'll never forget it. Ever. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate all of you.